second.
This is the BAM Podcast with Malcolm Springer.
Look at this.
How are you doing?
This is so legit, y'all.
Yeah.
This is amazing.
How you doing?
What's up? Hey,
Good to see you.
come on
Good to
in.
see you. Here you go.
Hi, Malcolm.
Good to see you.
I'm going to hug
Hey,
you, but
Holly.
not knock the camera.
I know. Hi. We'll do that very carefully.
So here we are.
Hey.
Interviewing the successful women in the music
How cool.
I know. it's
She
so much-
definitely is.
business. So we hadn't even started talking about
Okay.
Bigfoot and aliens yet.
Oh my god, I'm so excited. That's like that's what hooked me in.
that was the selling point.
Yeah, that's a selling point. Now I'm making sure that
So
That's what I
how's it
came
going over there?
Willie just wrapped up.
Oh really? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there's a bus out there.
Yeah, he just wrapped up, and so
How's he doing? I mean, I haven't seen him in a long time.
he seems great. They were real particular about everyone being in masks this go around, and super cleared building. Like no one was really allowed in apart from who was running the session and stuff. But beyond that, I mean, he just turned 89 2 weeks ago. So
And he's in the studio.
yeah,
That's amazing.
yeah, and
That's
he's
awesome.
still cutting records and in the studio. So that's really cool. And when he walks by, you're like, dang, you're Willie Nelson. It's still cool.
Yeah.
I was lucky because when we signed him at Island Def Jam, I was one of the A&R guys / I had a record label with him, whatever, imprint.
Yeah.
And Willie Orr sent me out there to write with him.
Okay.
And we drove for hours. I mean, it seemed like forever past Austin, like,
Yeah.
are we ever going to get to this place? But we already drove all the way from here. And so
Yeah.
anyway, and this Western,
14
he
or
has
so.
a Western town. Have you ever heard of it?
I've heard that he's in Austin and that kind of thing.
Okay, listen. Okay, so I have pictures. I'll have to bring and show you guys because it's
Please.
unreal.
Yeah.
Okay, so you drive down this in the middle of the desert, and there's nothing, right?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden,
Is his town.
you see this town out in the middle, and
And
you're
it's
like,
Willie's town.
"What the heck is that?" What is it?
Willie's town.
So you drive and you pull in there, and there's first it's this church to the right, and so I got out of the truck and I was like, I go into the church and it's just like people have just left. You walk down the street and there's water for the horses and
Yeah.
okay, there was a shoe. This dude was shoeing horses behind the main street there of the town, and at the end of the street, I swear, it has a big saloon and it says World Headquarters,
His.
and that's where you meet him to hang out tonight. And-
I need to see these pictures.
no, this is crazy because it says World Headquarters. Like I'm like, I believe it. This is World
This is it.
Headquarters.
This is it.
But now at the time he lived on a oasis that was about 3 or 4 miles.
Just a little
from
bit
there,
more,
a little bit
yeah,
further in
from
the
it.
desert. And
Further into the desert.
I'm just saying what happened, what it was back then. I'm just saying he had these girls that ran around in squaw outfits and waited hand and foot on. I'm not kidding. He lived in a teepee.
I can't.
It's very, very. That is the truth. But I never. I did see the Oasis thing, but I just never. I kind of hung out there 1 second, and got the hell out of there because I could tell it's not a place I'm supposed to be. So, but yeah, it was interesting and an interesting man he is, and
He really is. And it was so cool to see him in the flesh.
Man, I didn't have any business, riding with him at all, man. And I knew that. It
That's
was just
not
one of those
true.
things, that I, Leo or whatever. But it was just a day. It was just to get the experience. It was
I
just-
mean, I can
That
imagine.
would take it, right?
It's a day.
But
Yeah.
there's a guy though that stays in that western town 365 days a year that we only got in New York. And he met him in New York on the street. He's just a homeless guy, and he stays there and takes care of the place. Now look, here's what's even crazier about the whole situation.
Wow, that's amazing.
I heard about this band down there.
Yeah.
I heard about this badass band, and so I was like, well, okay, well I'm gonna go out there, and his actual cousin actually manages the band.
Mm-hmm.
And so I go to this bar. He gives me directions. I've seen it in so many movies now. It's unreal. And the bar is super long. So I walk in the door, and the door's right by the bar. And this bar is like super long. I'm like, what the hell? There's nobody in the bar, So I'm like, what the hell is going on? So I walk down the bar, and I open up the back door to the freaking thing, and there's this huge ass party in the back.
Oh my god, of course.
And,
Yeah, the front.
It's interesting because it's like Lenny Kravitz has his whole thing. It's like an island or whatever his whole thing is, and it sounds like Willie's got his whole town in Texas.
but
One has a whole lot of,
When
you
I'm-
know, drugs. The other has a whole lot of vegan food and stuff like that.
the actual Western town was made for the movie Lonesome Dove.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, that's why it's there. Like he didn't just build it to have it there. It was for that movie set. I'm sure other movies have used it.
Wow.
But I walked behind this bar.
Worldwide
and
headquarters.
I swear, it was the Lonesome Lonely Boys. And I went, this band. I mean, what am I going to do? So I loved them. I thought it was great. I thought that I had, but I'm like, okay. Start thinking of what I felt like when we signed Kenny Wayne Shepherd.
Sure.
You know, or when we, you know what I mean? You know, and
Sure.
we signed a guitar player here, not even a singer. It's like, but these guys have got it all, and they're brothers. And well, anyway, we ended up partying at Willie's cousin's house, and that's how my son Isaac. That's why he's here. That's where he was conceived. In the bathroom.
That's amazing.
It's the truth.
I mean,
oh, geez.
way
But
cooler
anyway.
story than how I was conceived, I'm sure.
But anyway, so you're the studio manager at Universal.
Yep, at East Iris. Yeah,
And-
East
and-
Iris Studios
okay,
now.
Okay, sorry. Well, okay. So how are we supposed to say that?
East Iris Studios.
East Iris Studios, we're a studio. We are not part of Universal.
I mean, I think that it's from a good intention. It's from a place of everyone's welcome, not just
Right,
UMG.
I got you.
Yeah, because I thought the same thing. I was like, why doesn't UMG have Universal stamped everywhere? And I think it's because it's a community place. It's not meant just for our artists. Granted, we're going to obviously give some hometown cooking to UMG artists and family members and stuff, but I think more than anything, from what I'm learning about the situation, they just really want it to be an amazing creative hub for everybody.
Oh, that's cool.
And also just kind of honoring, you know, when we took over from House of Blues. House of Blues was not, you know, just one-sided. It was for everybody, so.
Right. Well, I've been here for years. I kind of came with the property.
You came with the place. Exactly.
And
We all could learn a lot from you.
I just love it because, well, Pops was just kind of tired. You know, he really needed to get out of it, even though I didn't want him to, because I'm like, what do you mean you're selling a place? I remember the phone call.
Yeah.
And but it scared me because I thought he was trying to tell me he was dying, because I mean, you know what I mean, and that's why I'm like, you know, but
Yeah.
he wasn't, and I thought, okay, because I just heard this thing in his voice, like, look, it's going to be okay. You're going to do good. These folks are good folks. They're going to take care of you. You're going to love Kevin. You're going to love it. And I'm like, you're not going to be there. I'm not going to love it, but I do love it.
But
I
he
miss
wasn't
him.
wrong.
I miss him very,
When
very
Kevin
much.
Reeves is involved, then you do know you're with good people. So
He is a good man, isn't he?
yes, he
He's
is.
a good
Yeah.
man.
So he wasn't leading you astray, that's for sure. And we're glad that you're here. That's always the talk of the town.
So, did you guys know each other before?
No,
No.
not the
Really?
other, not until the other day. Yeah.
Oh,
not
I
till
thought
the
you
last
guys
session.
were getting old friends, like freaking you used to
No.
run around freaking hang.
Kevin thought so. He was like, "Do you know Holly?" I was like, "I don't think we've ever met."
Nope.
Like,
Oh
which
my
is crazy
God.
that our paths never crossed
That's
prior to.
right.
That's right. I'm putting this more toward you guys. Okay.
Okay.
Now look, so that's crazy. It seems like you guys have been. Anyway.
I know, and you would have thought that our
Yeah,
paths
right.
would have crossed.
So,
Yeah.
I hope it doesn't bother you.
It's because we're family.
I think he's talking to the
They're
microphone.
working-
I'm
they're-
breaking my own rules here. So tell us a little bit about how you got here and all that stuff. Because
Okay.
I'm very super interested. I know you know Scott.
I wanna
Reed,
know
you
too.
you, Kevin, so-
Yeah. There's a lot that leads up to that. So I actually grew up in Nashville. I am one of the unicorns, as they call. I'm from here, born and raised, and so you know, I think when you grow up in a town like Nashville, and you have talent, there's just a lot of opportunity. You can throw a stone and kind of land somewhere. So I was really lucky that my parents just let me march to my own drum and started auditioning for things when I was super young. And then, so my first professional work as a singer was when I was 10 here in Nashville.
So you're a singer.
Yeah, so
Oh,
my
okay.
background
She's a
is
talent.
an entertainer. Yeah,
Okay.
so there used to be this place here called Opryland. I don't know if y'all were ever around
Oh, yeah, I
during
was
the reign of
over
Opry.
there.
Yeah. So I was with Opryland performing as a kid from the years 92 to 96 when it closed. I was the last solo artist to perform the last show in the Christmas season in 1996.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and closed out the whole park. And then also during that time on the Fox network, there was a kids show called Kid Stuff, and I was the host of that show. So I also had a TV show here in town. So just an entertainer kid to the max. Was lucky to just grow up in Brentwood and Franklin, where a lot of the stars and their kids lived. So they were all friends that I grew up with. And Vince Gill did talent shows with my mom. And, you know, it's just a different way to grow up. But because of that, they were like, whoa, she's different at 10, 11, 12, 13 years old. Let's bring her into the studio. So I started really kind of being taken under the wing of who I would call great songwriters. And I do not claim to be a songwriter, but I was raised by a lot of songwriters. And one of those was probably my best mentor, a guy named Van Stevenson. He was a third of the group Black Hawk, the country band Black Hawk. Yeah, so he did the high harmonies for Black Hawk, and he also was an amazing songwriter. I think he had at least 7 to 10 number one hits in country music. And anyhow, he passed away very young of cancer, unfortunately. But he gave me a lot of jumpstart. So I was working with his crew, everyone from the Huffs to the Wrights and the Brights, and I just grew up in the scene. So strangely enough, my own solo sound was never country, or for me, I didn't want to do Christian music. So at the time, Nashville was really strictly kind of those two lanes. It's prior to Paramore, prior to Kings of Leon, prior to, some of the more rock-based stuff that have come out of here now. And so I knew that I had to go to either New York or LA to really pursue, like, my own music. So I chose New York. And about 6 months into living there is when I got signed to Warner Brothers Records out of New York. So I did like a 10-year stint on the label.
Who signed you there?
God rest his soul, but Tommy Page.
Oh, okay.
Do you remember Tommy Page? She's an A&R rep there. Yeah, he unfortunately passed away as well. And then, but Liz Rosenberg was a huge champion of mine at the label. She, is PR and marketing for Madonna, Cher, Michael Bublé, Josh Groban, like huge. And she, I think, is that female powerhouse thing that I really was like, dang, this woman is so awesome. And she took me under her wing. And again, I learned a lot as I was an artist, just kind of coming up. And then simultaneously, I was like flying in and out of Nashville and a little bit of like a local celebrity. We didn't have digital back then, so it couldn't go viral the way you can now. But
we were just talking about that.
Yeah, but there's like a level of fame that you could have on the 4 TV stations that were here. Right. I was on one of them every single day. So in Nashville, people certainly knew who I was. So there was like this a singing competition that was held at the Wild Horse Saloon, and it was basically the pilot season to trying before Nashville Star became Nashville Star. So I was a judge for that show.
Oh, okay.
And week after week, people would show up on a Monday night to try to compete and win in Nashville, and we would pick a winner every single week, and there'd be a small cash prize of some sort. This little girl would show up every single week. She was like 11 or 12 years old. Her family drove her in from Meridian, Mississippi every single week. And the other judges were kind of like, they weren't a child star, so it was different for me when I saw a child. I could relate. I used to show up at all the bars downtown Nashville trying to sing. And she honestly was the best every Monday night. She was the best. But convincing the rest of them that she deserved the money over an adult who's like a starving artist in town needing it. They never were going to let her win, which was ridiculous. So I finally just went to her and her family like after the show, and I said, she's like insanely special. And I know a lot of songwriters and producers here and vocal coaches, and I think it's just tough that she's in Meridian, Mississippi. If y'all think about it and you want to move to Nashville, I'll help you out any way I can. She can stay with me a little bit or at my house, whatever. I'll hook her up with people I know. And they took me up on it, and so I kind of worked with her for the next year or two as like her movement coach and got her into vocal lessons and all that fun stuff. And then a year later is when I moved to New York for my record deal. So I went my way, she went hers. 2 years after that, she's the biggest star in the world. And I'm still like trying to make it on my label deal. She's Haley from Paramore. So,
Oh, wow.
yeah. So inadvertently, as like a big sis type, I had sort of then later when I got shelved discovered, oh, well, my whole life has meaning though still, because I didn't even realize that I was utilizing developmental skills when I met Haley and I helped her. And also a few years after that, I met this other little girl who was cast as a young me in a tour show that we were doing. She was like supposed to be me and then turns into a diva on the kind of premises of the show. And that was Ariana Grande. So like same thing kind of happened by accident where we're sitting backstage and she's like, how do you do whistle tones? And I'm like, just did it. And she's like, wow, I can do it too. You know, and we just would play back and forth. So those two amazing ladies and their parents also like really helped me when I got shelved. And I did have 3 top 20 Billboard hits. This is old school stuff. No digital again yet. And I got to open for Michael Bolton on tour for a long time, and I opened for Babyface for a little moment of that.
What was the name of your band?
Kelly King, just me.
Just Kelly. What
Yeah.
the heck, man?
Well, then, do you know Louis Levin?
Louis is...
Louis Levin was Michael Bolton's manager for a while.
I don't know if I met
I don't know
him.
if you guys
No,
connected.
my booking agent is the one who put me on that tour.
Oh, okay.
I probably met him backstage and stuff, but
No, I just brought it up because I worked out of his office in New York. So.
okay. I did Michael's charity big thing he does in Connecticut every year. I did that one year with Phoebe Snow. She's amazing. Like it was really cool. So I probably ran, and I know a lot of his band members pretty well, but that's about it. Yeah.
Well, see, that's funny. I didn't know what was your last name.
Yeah, Kelly King.
Well, man, I'm trying to think because I know I ran across. I don't know. Did you ever record in Memphis at all?
No. See, that's the
you know
strange
what?
thing, even
You
though I'm from
recorded,
here.
though, you recorded the power station up there, didn't you?
No.
In New York? You never recorded in New York?
I mean, no, not really. We actually recorded my whole album in South Florida, strangely enough.
wow, okay.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. It was
I've seen the Masters like with that name on it back. I mean, that was a long time ago. And you know what? I'm senile by now anyway.
I mean, all of
I'm
it,
just saying it
the
just sounds
production
it's got a great
could
ring
have
to
been
it,
done
Kelly
there
King.
for all I know. You know what I mean? Like it's, I don't really, but cutting vocals, I did everything in Florida, South Florida. That's how I met Ariana, because that's where we were stationed. And she was from Boca, and so she got casted out of there basically with me. But yeah,
I
it's
mean,
weird stuff.
Kind of the way I looked at it, because I mean, you know, my label experiences was real fast as an artist, and
Yeah.
But when I was super young, I was 14, 15.
Wow.
I just thought, man, that God wants me to help others get their dreams, and I mean, not their
You're so
right. Get their dreams, but like my dream to help them get their dreams. I don't know. I know it sounds weird, but
I found
It's
peace.
funny you said it. That's
I found
what I
peace
said.
in
When I was
that.
19, I was like, this
Yeah.
yeah, I want to help
the
someone.
same thing.
Because me, I didn't have anybody like help me.
I didn't really either.
And the producer that the label, you know, hired to do our stuff was, I mean, he stayed at the freaking Titty Bar more than he did at the studio, and it made me so angry. I'm like,
Yeah.
so because I had produced the you know the demos that got us there, and I had the connections with Jimmy Griffin, my girlfriend was his niece, so he hooked it up, the whole thing, you know. And had, you know, he came to see us, and then he went back to the label.
Yeah.
And it wasn't never a full blown record. It was a development deal, but it was still.
Yeah.
We had, you know, a song going and stuff, and I just feel like, you know, man, that was it. You know, that was it.
You're kind of on an island by yourself.
Yeah.
I felt that way too, which is what drove me to be like, I don't want people to feel that way.
I showcased one more time when I was 18. I was in Memphis, and guys, I still got the T-shirt. No, it's so funny because there's like, I don't know, it was like probably 50 of us that was showcasing for labels, and they used to call it, what did I call that thing? Do you remember what I'm talking about? You guys got to remember.
The what?
They had a thing, a showcase. Remember they had Extravaganza here, which was put on by Jim Zamora, but in Memphis they had a showcase. All the A&R and freaking
I don't know.
freaking label people came in. Anyway, I have a T-shirt.
I know which one you're talking about now.
Well, it's so funny
coming
because
back to me now. I can't remember the name of it.
I
but
remember
now that he
I
says that.
showcased for 3 times that week, And I remember I was in the control room there at Bill Street Studios, and I had just gotten through engineering, help engineering a record for Atlantic, and Tony Bon Jovi walked in the door, and he sat down with me. He goes, "Man, you sing your heart out. You 'cause I wasn't a singer in my original band, you know. I was just kind of tired of their stuff, but they were awesome guys, believe me. But he said, but you know what? You got a son. You know, I just had a son, and he goes, life is much safer on this side of the glass, and I hear you're like the best young engineer in town.
Oh, wow. Interesting perspective.
And that changed everything
Yeah.
for me. That one moment with Tony Bon Jovi. And I hadn't seen him since. I don't even know if he's still alive or not. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm sure he is.
I don't know.
But anyway, I didn't mean to interrupt your story. I just
No,
think that's so interesting
that's-
that you going to New York, because I moved to New York for just a second. But did I really move? Nah. I mean, I had my son here, so I never moved anywhere, but he wasn't very far from him. But
I was there for 13 years, so
13
I
years?
really did it. Yeah. I really did New York. Yeah, and so that was kind of a rule for me when I moved up there. Was I had never, like, since I was 10, I had made money in the industry, right? So it kind of like, okay, because my mom was like, how are you going to make money? What are you going to do? Because I chose not to go to college, all that kind of stuff. And I said, well, I'm just going to find a spot in Brooklyn. And it was a really dangerous part. It's called Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn. And then made a promise that I'll figure out a way to use God's gifts and make money. Yeah. So that was kind of also my rule. So I was there a good 6 months before I got signed. And during that time, I hustled. It was literally like I was out till 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning at every gay bar I could find that was doing any kind of contest for the night that you could win $50 to $100, whatever. I just started running the night scene there, the nightlife scene, and winning everywhere. Like, I'd just walk in. I knew in those environments I could sing Mariah Carey or Celine Dion, and they would go nuts, and that's it. So that's how I made my money. And then I got a consistent gig randomly because I read in the paper, not as digital a time period, but I read in the paper that they were holding auditions for the Duke Ellington Orchestra at Birdland. And I was like, yeah.
Sorry to laugh, but I mean, it's outrageous.
It was outrageous. And I was like, and I'm thinking to myself, oh, it's not really the Duke Ellington Orchestra. It's like, he's not here. So it's not. It was really the Duke Ellington Orchestra. And so, like, I show up to audition for this thing. I've never seen jazz in my life, but my father, that's all he listened to when I was growing up, was jazz and classical. So I knew the songs a little bit, but I'd never sang it before. And so I show up to this guy named Jeff Jeffers. He was basically one of Duke's right-hand guys, and he's who has the catalog of music now that runs the band and all this kind of stuff. He's an older dude in Harlem, and showed up. You open up to his apartment doors, and it's like his living room is one giant grand piano, like in New York City. Yeah. And you're like, dang, this place is really cool. So he said, all right, here's 2 pieces of music. Let's do these. He hands me the music. I don't read music. I'm one of those Nashville people. I don't read music. So I was like, I just said, hey, you mind playing through it for me real quick? And he was like, sure. Played through it. I was like, okay, I think I'm ready. And I sang the song, and he just stopped after the first song, and he said, so you don't read music, do you? And I was like, oh, man, so it was obvious I didn't read music. And he goes, I said, no. And I said, I just moved here from Nashville, but I thought I'd give this a shot. And he was like, well, the job's yours, because there's only been one other singer that I've ever known that can do what you just did. And I said, really? I sang it right? And he was like, you did. He said, and you and Ella are the only 2 I've ever known to be able to do that. And I'm thinking, like, Ella? Like Ella Fitzgerald? Ella? And so he took me under his wing, and I became the lead singer of the band. And we played Birdland and a couple other kind of tour type things here and there. So I was with the band for a year, and that opened my world to just musicality and learning. And they're just beasts. They're unbelievably talented.
So that's a whole nother level of player.
Yeah.
Whole nother level of player.
Yep.
And it is a wall of sound. And Birdland is this tiny, hole in the wall. It's not big at all. And we're on the stage. I'm right at the front of it. I probably had about this much space between the players that were lined right behind me. And they're on risers. There's about a 17 to 20 piece band of all brass, bass, drums, keys, huge sections of these things. So it is a wall of sound when it starts. It's like we opened the show with A Train, so it's like wah wah. Those brass instruments would start. You literally feel like hairs sticking up on your back, and I was like, "This is the coolest thing ever." So I did that for a little while, which really helped me just cut my teeth in New York, because that whole mentality of like, if you can do it in New York kind of thing, if you get that grind, if you find the heartbeat of the city, that kind of thing, it really set me on my way of like being able to kind of own that city and be really successful working in it, much less the record stuff. So
did you ever do Broadway?
I didn't, and Broadway called a few times. There's a few music directors that would come to my shows, and the nightlife scene that I did win, like, it's called the Glammy Awards in New York, and it's nightlife music awards, and I won. I'm the only female to date to ever win, because it's very dominant of LGBTQ scene. And, you know, but people would come to my shows after the Broadway shows. It's like all the Broadway stars would come to our shows to see the nightlife shows at night. And a couple of the music directors came, especially like Wickeds, and they're like, you should try out. Oh, that's a funny story for another day. I am not cut out for like the acting side of things, but from a music standpoint, it would have been super fun to do that. But I met my fiance in New York around 10, 11 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and he 2 weeks in booked the lead in a Broadway show. He booked the lead in American Idiot.
Oh, wow.
Which is one of the only rock-based shows ever on Broadway, being Green Day stuff. He crushed it in that. So he did that, and then he, right after that, booked Rent as well, which is also a little bit more rock-based. So, and then he got signed to Republic. So that's
Avery
where
Whitman.
enter Kevin Reeves and Scott Reeves, right, was when my fiance got signed to Republic Records. So Kevin was in the building every day there, and most artists, I think, that get signed to Republic New York, they don't really take advantage of the studios that are there, you know, in the building. Well, Sean was going to be there every day. He just had that mentality. He was like, no, I'm going to be in the room every day, and I'm going to write, and I'm going to record. And Kevin was the guy. He ran those studios there. So he'd open the doors for us, and I'd always go and help. And, you know, because I did have a way bigger background in songwriting and producing and stuff than he did at the time. He was still really green in that sense, because he came, again, like I said, from the theater background versus, you know, the recording side. So Kevin met me, and then at one point he said, hey, my kid and a friend of his, they go to Berkeley. They're going to be in town on a break, and would you come speak with them and just kind of teach them a little bit about the industry and stuff? I said, sure. And I'm thinking, like, I'm going to walk in. You sometimes get this little chip on your shoulder, and you're like, these kids don't know anything yet. And I walked in, and I'm like, play me something that you guys have, just as, like, to give some feedback.
I'm talking about Scott.
Yes! Yes! And I was like,
he's like the baddest ass guitar player you've ever heard in your life.
He's the most incredible
serious.
musician.
Wow.
I'm serious.
No,
this
serious,
kid is
I
a
haven't worked with Scott
smoker.
yet.
I'm talking smokes.
I have never heard anybody play like this.
Wow.
Like, genuinely.
Yeah, this kid play me.
He's unreal.
He's that good. Yeah.
And I had played with the Duke Ellington Orchestra. Like, I had played with Michael Bolton's crew, Babyface's crew. There's, like, the best of the best. All the guys in Nashville that I grew up playing with, nobody played like Scott Reeves. And I was like, he's 20. What? Like, this kid. I was like, Kevin, thank you for inviting me here, but I humbly have absolutely nothing to say to your. Like, he is a masterpiece.
He's part of Machine Gun Midget. You know, me and Case and him.
Yeah.
And Jason
Yeah, I
Bowl
remember
and
you
Carl
saying
Schenkel. Yeah, we have a,
Well, we need to have him
a
in
rhythm
this-
section.
On
Oh,
the
my
original
gosh.
stuff we're going to do.
Please,
yeah, 'cause
he's incredible.
He's been out. He's been playing. He
He's
couldn't
amazing.
make the acoustic, because he was going to be the player on the acoustic thing, and Case was going to do the artillery stuff, and
Okay.
and then he couldn't make it. But Case has done a great job. He has done an amazing job, and
Okay.
and Case is, I think for this it may even been like a little bit more suitable because we didn't need him flashy things. You know, it's hard to calm him down, man. I mean, he's a smoker.
He's a beast.
Yep, anything
he's a
you want him
beast.
to play to, Holly, you can just tell him what you want.
You can play it
I mean,
once, and
you know,
or
and he'll just freaking tear it up. I mean,
he has perfect pitch too, which is insane. I mean, like, to the point where, like, I was told by the Duke people that I did too, but I don't I don't believe I can possibly have perfect pitch when I don't know what the notes are. When I can say to someone like Scott, "What's this note?" and he'll be like, "That's a G sharp." Da, da, da. And you're like, wow.
Well,
And you
yeah.
can do that over and over and over again, and he's never wrong.
Wow.
The guy is a genius, but his father is too. Kevin is the same way.
Super gifted guy.
They're so gifted. And so I was like, holy crap, this kid is the truth. So then he and my fiance started writing together more. And that's how we got close, you know, with the Reeves through the years. But it was all just very business kind of oriented there, although we all knew we kind of were the same tribe type people.
Right.
Kevin and I always joked. We'd always be like, one day we're going to be working this company together. One day we're going to be together on this. Because I had already transitioned at that point into this side of the business. I'd already finally made that decision. And that was tough as an artist when it's like, you've been shelved. You know you're coming out of it. You're in your 30s then at this point. You're like, what did my life mean? Kind of thing. Since I've done this for 20-something years already. But what now? And like you, I found a lot of peace and joy in finally realizing, wait, I can help people. And so I had just started that process. And kind of the guinea pig of that was Sean, my fiance. I was like, man, he's so talented and he's on Broadway. If I can get him a record deal, like then maybe I know what I'm doing a little bit. And he got a record deal, you know, with Republic Records. So that's what kind of started the whole thing. And then, so at that point, it was kind of like Kevin and I would joke and be like, we're going to do something together one day. And then fast forward now almost, you know, 10 years of knowing one another. And this opportunity came up. Yes. And
that's great.
I jumped at it because it was Kevin, like in all honesty. And
oh good, I'm gonna do it.
And this company. Like I knew Kevin and his team, you know, from the division that they're in and stuff. Like I had just seen through the years from like kind of the business standpoint of stuff that they're just good folks. They're just good people. So
what's crazy is like Holly's like she's like she goes from the side of I never want to be an artist, you know. I just love music, and I want to be that
how
person
refreshing.
that Oregon who came in and signed, you know, people, and I think that's incredible because it's like everybody has like such man. I never even knew that about you, so I didn't. That's great.
No, it's
that's
okay.
Great. That's great because
I love being on this side now, so it's
can't
really
wait to meet
fun.
your fiance. Seems like you're probably a good guy.
You
man.
would love him, Malcolm. He's got to come in here and play with some of you guys because he's a beast too.
He has to join the midget, man. If he's going to be here,
Well,
he's
he's
got to join
practically a
the
midget himself. So. Wait, I don't know if that's nice to say. I'm so sorry if that offended anyone, but I'm just saying, like he's a short dude. So.
Well, I am too, but I'm short and bald, so that makes it even worse. But that's so interesting. So you've really got the place hopping over there. Now I'm just saying I've noticed since you've been here that there's a lot more. It seems like we're busier.
Yeah. Now that could be because COVID's done. I don't know, but here's what I do.
It seems to me like you're doing a good job over there.
Thank you.
Because
that.
I see when we do have sessions, it seems like they're pretty important people, and you know, I mean, I don't even ask because I'm too busy to even ask. Or even
you are very busy too, and that's the thing. I think, you know, someone asked, "Do you know as much as Malcolm about studios?" Absolutely not. I don't. But I think the reason that they felt somewhat of a value of bringing me in, at least I like to think so, is because no, I don't know about the boards and how to fix everything and, you know, all the ins and outs of the electronics and tech and whatever comes along with studios and running studios. But what I do know is that I grew up in them, and I know the things that made super memorable, you know, moments for me as an artist, and also what made my creative space so much more comfortable. So I try to take the approach of like hospitality first and foremost, and I want the smell to be something you remember when you walk in.
See, I'm the same way. That's why I'm so adamant about getting candles in here all the time. And like we ran out a couple days ago. I'm like, oh god.
No, it makes a difference. It
does to me too. It does to me too. You know what I used to get mad about was when I came in and like Hooky or guys.
Somebody had already been here all night.
It smelled like a kitchen in here, and that made me so angry. And like I'd have Holly showing up or something, I'd be like panicking, going, oh my god, you know.
Spray it.
No, but I'm serious though because you know. You don't want them showing up and it smell like it's a kid, like some kind of freaking it's a restaurant, you know.
I mean,
This
it
ain't
all
not a
plays a
restaurant.
role.
In the kitchen, but not.
Oh, I get aggravated, Jackson.
Cookies, baby.
Because Jackson will freaking he's bring some kind of something in the control room, steam the control room up. I'm like looking at him like, man, that shit stinks, man. Get
it out of here.
No, but it's funny because you said that because I'm that way too. I'm just, and hey, man, I'm trying to quit smoking, but I do good. Like I didn't have one when I took 2 puffs. But me
can do
smoking is
whatever you
absolutely
want.
ridiculous. It's like I told my sister, it's like we're stupid because I literally take 2 puffs off of it, sit it down, and it sits there and just.
And there
stinks
goes
the room
that
up.
money.
And then I sit there and then it'll be up.
There goes that money just burning up right there.
Oh yeah, because by the time I buy cis cigarettes,
Yeah.
ladies cigarettes,
Burning it up.
Tiffany cigarettes. I'm out there the other day. I'm like $50 for cigarettes. I'm
Yeah.
like, man, what are we doing? Okay, I'm paying for all of us to die. You know what I'm saying? It's like so. No,
Let's
you
not
you
do
always
that,
tell
yeah.
Holly this is because the other night she looked at me like that makes all the sense in the world. I'm like when I'm smoking, sometimes I think of like the whole Sigmund Freud. The dumbest die off young and don't freaking procreate. But I've already procreated. But I'm
Yes, you
saying,
have.
believe me, I've procreated. But I've got too many kids. But
Give me
but I
one.
always think
I
I'm
want
gonna be one that dies early because I'm a dumbass. It's like I feel so stupid because I'm sitting here freaking smoking. It's like
No.
but no, it's the only habit I've got to keep. You know what I'm saying? Everything else is like I had to quit all these
Listen, we all
hard
have
habits
something.
that were pretty ugly habits. But and it was
They're dying out there.
not
They're
easy.
laughing about something.
I mean, we all have something, right? So it is what
My
it is.
sister, I swear.
She's the best. I love her.
Well,
But yes, so I do try to take a little bit of a different approach, and I also just trust the super smart people around me. I mean, Kevin knows what needs to go on from the other technical standpoints, and Colin, who's on the team, and Michelle
Colin's
is
awesome too,
amazing.
man.
Michelle, like you, kind of came with the property, and she is just incredible. And I've seen her grow and blossom in this year, like even more. So I don't know if you know or not, and I think I told you, Holly, but we since I've been here, and again, it all starts with leadership. So from the top down, Pat Krause, right, who's now here a lot more than LA, and is senior vice president, right? We're lucky to get to have his presence so often here. But it starts there. He was so willing to kind of take the leap of faith with me, and we are now 55% female engineers and mixers, which is
over
crazy.
here?
Yeah, at East Iris. So we have
I thought it was
we have
more
now
than that.
more females than we do males, which is unheard of in this business, and I think something that to say for the culture that's being cultivated here and in Berry Hill, in Nashville, but under Pat Krause, Kevin Reeves, battery.
New batter, man. So that's the biggest thing is like to me. I was telling Holly about the young engineer, and it's like I didn't know Olivia at all,
Yeah.
So and I'm definitely love the guy I use, engineering. I mean Kyle is awesome. He's really got together and.
I'm sure you have the best
Oh,
around
I mean,
you. Yeah.
he is a very, very, very good, and he's very fast. And I'm not saying that I'm not going to use him because I love using him as an engineer. But I was very impressed with her, and I just went, man, I got to use her some these days because she's.
Yeah, we'd love for that to happen.
But like I was telling Holly, like, look, in order for a guy like me, okay, I mean, I'm not down on myself or anything, but the way I talk, the way I look, the way I, kind of my mannerisms and everything, it's kind of I have to be like 10 times, 15 times, sometimes 20 times better than the other guy to get the gig, or,
I understand that. Yeah.
But too, though, I've been obviously a pretty good source of finding bands to A&R guys, you know what I mean? So, of course, they're going to be my
Artists are
buddies,
going to relate to you really well, though.
Yeah,
those same
yeah.
things that you're talking about, I would assume people are really comfortable around you for, too.
Yeah.
It's a strength, I think.
And I really do love hard, you know what I'm saying? And that sounds stupid, but it isn't when I really believe in somebody, and man, I have a hard time, and Holly's teaching me how to let go, not hang on so tight, because if they're not going to do like they're supposed to do, then
Isn't it tough sometimes?
Because mentality, but and I can't help but thinking, please don't get upset at me, but I'm thinking, well, I wonder what decision did Kelly make to not get her to where she was? I mean, because obviously you were damn good. So, but there was a decision that you made that turned down the wrong road and led you somewhere, and it wasn't where God wanted you to go, or it was where God wanted you to go, and
Right.
and you did make it. You got a record deal. You put out a song. You had.
I know it's like how we measure success, right? But I appreciate that question.
That is a huge
success.
Huge success.
Yes,
I mean,
and nobody likes to accredit that, which I appreciate you saying, but I also appreciate the tough question because I've asked myself the same thing. I think, and you really, as an artist, at some point need to totally just look in the mirror and go, what is it that's not clicking, right? And I think the main thing for me when I ask myself that question, like, what was the decision? Are we recording? I wanted to say, kind of picking up where we left off, that I think it'd be this brilliant idea for like all studios around the country to make, because everybody that works in them is talented in some capacity, to make like the studio series albums. So we got like East Iris crew here. We could all make a 15-song album and feature everyone that's here in some capacity, and then like Republic LA with Rob Christie and gang, and then Republic New York, I'm sure they've got levels of talent too. So any studios, even Blackbird could jump in and their staff make it, and then like it'll eventually be a competition and everybody see who makes the best yearly albums.
we really do have a lot of gifted people here.
We really do, and we can make a full album out of it. Yeah.
And Sam, is she a singer too?
Yeah, Sam. So I've known
Really?
Sam a long time. Sam. So my past,
I met her. Yeah.
The front desk.
my past relationship with Michael Bolton, opening for him later in the years, he needed a featured singer to come out and do duets with him. And so I recommended Sam for that job. So she sang with Michael Bolton on tour for a while as well. Yeah,
that's big
as
stuff.
like his featured singer on tour. She's an amazing singer too. She's a beautiful singer. But Alyssa also over there, she was an opera singer.
Wow.
So like there's just
What?
Everybody's musically inclined.
everybody's really beautiful voices.
Not me though. I just listen really well.
Well, see, you could manage and put together the whole thing.
There
You
you
could
go. I'll be
produce
the
it.
event
You could
coordinator.
produce it.
I've been wanting to make a record of my own for a while, and I need to. I've got a ton of songs that I would never hand off to an artist, but there's some of them, I would. I mean, most of them, that's what I do. I'll write a chorus or I'll get a good idea for something and then hand it off.
Yeah.
And lately it's been like, where you write the music for the artist, and then the artist, then they'll switch up some stuff and go, well, why can't you try this here?
Yeah.
But some of them you just write the music and then you write a freaking song over it.
Yeah.
If you know song structure. But it's today for me the music business has changed so much.
It has.
And then I know you guys are have seen the thing too. Me, I saw it though go from like, man. I mean, as an engineer, it really changed. I mean, oh my God, it's like we went from tape. But I've been doing this since I was 14, so imagine. I remember when Mix Magazine came out with the Dash Machine is coming out soon. I'm like, Dash
What's
Machine?
that? Dash machine.
So, 1/4-inch 32-track digital. And I was like, oh no, it was 48. Well, first it was the 30, it was a X800s here, I'm talking tech. And then it was the X850 and Mitsubishi's. And they were so expensive, but they didn't last very long because Sony came out with a 3348, which was a 48-track dash. Now I don't know what format though. Actually, the X850 would be, or it was digital. What it was designed on that. The first I worked on one. The first digital tape recorder was a 3M freaking machine. And Bill Street Studios had one down there in Memphis, and I got to use it. And it's probably the best sounding one I've ever used. It really sounded great. Yeah. But kind of like the EMT 250s, I don't know, but reverbs, you know what I'm saying? They look like R2D2s.
Yeah.
And they're like super expensive, but they're the first digital reverb.
Wow.
Well,
but they sound amazing.
Did y'all hear about the new thing that they just did an article on T-Bone for his new invention that apparently is going to put an end to, like, it's really great for archival purposes, but it's a kind of like a vinyl CD hybrid piece. So meaning like, you know how if you run vinyl too much, the needle will eventually wear it down to where you're losing the quality of the sound, right?
Just like vinyl, huh?
Yeah, so he and I think it's Jack White involved too, I'm not too sure, have created a material basically that will never degrade.
Wow.
And so apparently that's coming, and the new frontier, and it's from our own bestie here, T-Bone.
Yeah, I was telling Holly, because with the label, I parted ways with the partner because he wasn't a partner, but anyway,
The partner wasn't really a partner.
he wasn't really a partner. He was just,
We've all had one.
But like trying to figure all that stuff out, and I was talking to my sister on my way home the other night, and I said, what's crazy about a plan like for a label or a record or an artist right now is like, who knows really where you're gonna make your money?
Right.
Because it's so funny because when that NFT thing came up, I went, okay, this is going to be it. But it takes so much. Like if I went, Holly, I want to release one of my songs on NFT. Can you tell me how? And she'd be like, well, if I had time to research it, I would, but I don't have time right now.
Right.
And you know what I'm saying? But so if you know what I mean, you got people that are busy, and it's like
It's
they don't want
tough.
to fucking do that shit.
It's tough. Yeah, I feel that way all the time.
Yeah.
Like, I wish I wasn't so busy. I could kind of dive deeper into.
I'm still trying to find time to look up my Facebook pixel.
Right. Right.
For the advertising. Like, you could be getting more traffic if you know that it's not activated right now. I'm like, I got to go study that and now figure out how
But what is that about, though? I want to know.
There's like
it's
an identity thing for your Facebook advertising that you use, and you plan it. I believe you plan it on your website so that you can see your conversions, so that you can see how much money you're spending and if it's driving people to where you want them to, your traffic.
Okay.
Something like that.
Does the studio do any advertising at all?
Not yet. And isn't that crazy? As you were saying, we've gotten super busy already. That's purely word of mouth. It's definitely phase 2 for me.
Mm-hmm.
Phase 1 was just, let's get here, let's start talking, let's start, shaking hands and kissing babies. And then phase 2 is a little bit of advertisement that I'm hoping that will be.
Are they working your socials? Because we're tagging your socials. Whatever we think
I
is
am
your
every
socials.
time.
I am the socials at the moment.
Okay.
But yes, I just started kind of again. I didn't want to really launch that till we had all our ducks in a row.
Okay.
But yes, with the East Iris Instagram page, I've just
Because we're
started.
showing love to you guys.
No, I know. I reposted it. I'm
now.
Now I'm reposting everything and kind of like and that's it. That was part of phase 2 is definitely like starting to launch the socials. Things like this is the tough part for me, and I gotta just get with somebody within the company to help with it. But I hate when I get in my car and it's kind of stored, it always memorizes places that you go, and it says at the top of my screen, like, 20 miles to House of Blues. I'm like, it's not called House of Blues, Google! Like, how do I get it off?
It yet. Know?
Well,
and, Google, you have to, there's actually people that know how to go in and change your...
Really? See, I figured there's got to be a person.
I know somebody that knows how to do that.
Can we link on that?
Yeah,
that'd be amazing.
I'll ask him if
he
still's not.
Yeah, because
that's such an important
y'all been,
thing.
been here a while now. So
yeah, I know, and I'm kind of like, how is it not registering as East?
Do you guys? Well, there's like a somebody must have created a map page or something. There's like a whole thing behind it.
Somebody had to,
and they just need to change the location name of that. So we just
simple.
Either that or contact. I'll ask this guy.
That would be amazing. I'd appreciate any help there.
Because it was still. I did that too, and it doesn't come up on Instagram.
Yeah, probably.
Because I'm like always everywhere. Like, where are you at? I'm like, I'm at East Iris.
Well, so because if I tagged you guys right now, it would say we're at House of Blues together.
Well, no, I mean it is getting more. The more you tag it, the more it will identify it as algorithmically, like especially on Instagram as the place that it is. But I think with Google, like you're saying, and kind of like the Apple Maps and stuff like that, you do have to basically tell somebody, to change it. Right. So I'm working on that. But yes, advertising is coming next for sure. I think we're going to do more of these types of things where we're talking to people like y'all, and then also some, I think some PR things where we're going to finally launch out and say, we're officially here.
Well, we're mentioning you in Josie's press release.
Oh, thank you.
And I think we have it in Bob's, if I'm correct, because everything was based around Well, we did here because A&R and producer, like,
Yeah,
we make
exactly.
and we make jokes about it because nobody really knows what A&R is anymore.
I know. Well,
But
a lot of people don't.
You know,
You're right.
let me tell you something. A lot of people don't know what a producer is anymore,
True.
and that's because if you
Because they're working in their bedrooms and they think,
well, if you make
I'm
a
just
beat,
making a track.
if you make a beat, that does not make you a producer.
No.
But you know what though?
So true.
But it's like because you gotta see how angry it makes me because I really worked my ass off, and
to be a producer.
and when I was gonna get production credit from a man at a major label when I was too young, I was like, man, I'm too you're not giving me production credit on this record. No way, because I'm not. My mentors won't hire me then. All of a sudden, oh, you're a big producer now, huh?
Yeah,
And
it was a thing.
It used to mean something when you said I'm a producer, but
Earn that
now.
spot.
Now, when somebody asks me what I do for a living, I just say, "Oh, I'm in construction."
You know,
I construct music.
Yes.
tracks.
Actually, the best reply to that is, "I'm a serial killer."
oh my
Oh,
god.
not a serial killer, a contract killer. Sorry.
Oh my god.
But we could do both, I guess.
Yeah, and you know, in the A&R thing, we have to explain. Well, I need to explain to them. No, I'm not a scout because they're like, I got music for you. I got no. You have to understand. Like, you have to have a budget. We have to do this the right way. I'm going to connect you to a producer and songwriter. So we're going to go in the studio and we're going to do it this way. It's not just, hey, can you pitch my song to the record label? That's not what I did.
Oh,
I did that when I was like 25. Okay.
Yeah.
I love it when someone said, "Man, I give my stuff to the record label over in Nashville." I'm like,
Get in
man,
line.
look. I don't care how good you are. You know, it's like
Yeah.
if I didn't work on it, why would I go and ask? You know, for one thing, there's so many artists and there's so many badass singers and there's so many kids that have their shit together, and there's so many kids that will not freaking stop. I mean, they're going to go until they get what they want, and and those are the kids you want. It's like not the kids that, you know. As crazy as Cordell is, it's one thing you got to admire about the kid. You know, he just will not stop. You know, and like,
He will not leave this parking lot.
I've tried, man. No, but he parks his van over
Hey,
there.
listen, that means
He's on
he
the
won't
street
stop.
now,
Yeah.
right? He
Yeah,
parks
but
on the street.
yeah.
Well,
He won't leave the town.
there was some
Over
stuff that
there.
happened, but we won't talk about it on the thing. He's awesome. We love him.
No, I think it's
He-
to your point. It shows the hustle for sure.
And it's like reminding me every day he's here, and that's all he parks that van there for, is to make sure I know he's here. And it's like
Bless his heart, yeah.
you don't have to worry. I remember you're here, but I think we already got what we wanted, so I think that's pretty
Good.
in the bag. But
Good.
you know, no short form is signed yet, but we
Yeah.
So, but I'm pretty sure by the time this thing is freaking aired, it probably will be done.
Let's go.
I'm pretty
That's
sure. So,
great.
well, there's two. There was a showcase he did, like freaking, like it was too much. I told Holly, it's like the worst showcase I've ever seen in my life.
Why?
Well, because he had a drummer that was just terrible. You could tell, like, when the singer's like trying to make it for somebody in the band, it's sucking, and it's like,
You're only strong.
and
as
he's
your
such a
weakest link.
kick-ass singer, kick-ass showman, kick-ass. I mean, he's got everything that you want to be a rock star.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
He even has the attitude to some degree, but I mean, and he's not strung out on drugs. So there you go. I
Thank
mean,
God.
But is he an alien? And is he Bigfoot?
man,
We need to get to the crux of this now.
let's do this.
Okay.
Because I know somebody that's got dogs, and we know
Yeah,
how
that's
dogs
true.
are.
Oh, I
So
can't
and this
imagine
could be a really serious conversation here. So we need to delve in.
Well, I'm not from Earth, and everybody knows that. But I disowned the human race a long time ago, man. But I mean, I forgot what exact instance it was, but there was a lot where I went, now, hang on here. I mean, are they serious? I mean, I just go, who the hell would have thought of doing that to the other person or whatever?
Right.
Just crazy stuff like, I don't know. Maybe it makes me feel like I'm not from here because I would do nothing like where I'm
Somebody
from.
else would do.
Well,
I know.
like when
Well,
somebody,
maybe they're the aliens then.
when somebody says, "Hey, man, I'm gonna do this for you, man," and it's gonna be all right. I got it, and then you don't hear from them again. It's like,
Oh my gosh.
like when look.
True.
Here's one thing about me: if something happens where it ain't working out, I'll be like, man, I'm not meaning to do this. This is, I promise. I'm trying to get it together, and I'm trying to get. I know I take my time, producing stuff, and it's hard because it's like, my conversations with Tiffany is like, at night, it's like, man, Holly thinks I'm slow, everybody thinks I'm slow, but I'm not going to rush through this shit because
I don't think you're so. Why are you saying I think you're so? I never said you're slow.
I know. I'm just saying. That's what I feel like because I feel like, but I don't feel rushed. I always feel like but I always take my time and
That's your way.
I had a bad thing happen over here, and I hope you guys didn't hear it. But I had an artist show up here.
Did not.
And it was for somebody. It was a local band, and I pulled like a huge favor. They asked me if I could mix it for cheap.
Yeah.
This is why she tells me this shit. She tells me.
Yeah.
And I said, sure. I said, I tell you what, I'll do it. I'll do it. If you give me $350 a song, I'll do it. Mm-hmm. Well, $1,000 a song, at the least, $800 at the least, because it won't be any less than that now because what happened was they ran me ragged. kept coming out here, and I was staying late at night till 2 or 3 in the morning.
I remember that time period where you were here late every night. And I was like, is he okay?
And then, ran me ragged. I mean, ran me ragged. And then, and we're tweaking the thing again after they already approved the mixes. Tweaking it again. I mean, this is like they're sitting in the room with me. We're tweaking the mixes. I mean, it's done, and then, so I get this message out of the blue that one said the ends of the fucking thing is cut off. I'm like, well, that's funny. I've never in my career ever had anybody say you cut the end of the thing off short or didn't let it fade out. Never, not one time.
Yeah.
I've been doing this for 35 years, and I said, man, are you sure you're listening to the right mixes?
Yeah.
Well, one of them, that was brave, and I considered a friend up until now. Came over here to the back door, and he's like, the guys think that you're jerk. Oh yeah, and I got them distribution through Universal too. On top of it all, I'm doing all this extra work to help them out. I was about to send it to Kevin Morris, my buddy over there at Red Light, because they're a good band, and he said, well, the band thinks you're jerking them around, and I went nuclear.
You're like, let me tell you how I'm not.
I went nuclear. I said, well, let's do it right now. I'm gonna stop because I was working for her. I said, I'm gonna stop working for this person, and I'm gonna work for you for a minute. Let's get them out. Let's see what happened. Listen to the first one. Nothing's wrong with it. The end is fine. Second one, nothing wrong. Listen to all the songs. There was nothing wrong with one song. Just when people don't pay you right, they bitch. If they pay you right, they don't never bitch about nothing.
Honestly, if I had a nickel for every time someone took advantage of me, like in this business, on all sides, as the artist and also, now even on this side of the business, if I had a nickel, I wouldn't need to work another day in my life because it happens all the time.
Oh, yeah.
I have worked myself to the bone for certain artists before where, I'm like getting 4 hours sleep a day, but grinding harder than anybody.
They're probably not even paying you.
Yeah, and they were not because in the management side, you only eat what you kill.
Right.
It's not like you can get... So when I was just managing artists, it's so tough. Because I would work so hard nonstop and very little money coming back. A thankless job. And then before you know it, they refuse to sign an agreement with you too. They're like,
gotta do that
because
first.
You're not a huge manager, so why would I sign a sign
well,
a deal?
I'm doing stuff for you, so
yeah, that's
I'm
what
sorry,
it does. I learned my lessons after like 3 of them.
Oh.
You would have thought I'd learned after the first one, but didn't. And then out of nowhere, they're like, oh, we're going to go work with this other company. And you're just gone. Well, and you get nothing, literally nothing, after years of development. Years of putting your time and effort into something.
I have to say,
even contracts don't even help sometimes.
Well, that's what
somebody else in there influencing in their ear, and they get it to the point where they're like, you, "Oh, you have an ultimatum," and you're like, "Wait a minute, but I built you up to this point, and I brought
it doesn't matter sometimes."
And they're just like, so you know what I do with that when that happened one time? I said, "I'm not going down with a sinking ship. I built this ship, and they're gonna take it down." I'm out.
Yeah, and so you can get off the ship.
I walked.
Yeah,
I lost
a
ton,
times
but
too. I thought of though, and I'll share this on the podcast. I sat with an attorney friend of mine who's kind of always helped me out, and I said I want to create this really cool like hybrid type contract that is very artist friendly because I was the artist, so I do understand like it's tough to want to mentally lock yourself down to somebody as they're building, you're building, but truly the best types of manager-artist relationships are those that believe in each other, right? So I believe in you as much as a manager as you believe in me as an artist, and vice versa.
Right.
So if that's the case, yes, it's hard for an artist to kind of lock on. So I thought of this hybrid type situation where it's almost like a producer's deal, right? A production deal, because producers will get paid an upfront cost and then also get a royalty in perpetuity for the rest of the existence of that song, right? So you produce a song for somebody, they may pay you $2,000 up front for your time, for your efforts, and then you get 4 points.
Right.
Forever. So if they go on and work with other people, but that song exists and it's out, and all of a sudden 10 songs later, they blow up huge,
and you get
that back catalog blows up with it, all of a sudden that 4 points means a lot, right?
Yeah, you got
so
mailbox
I'm thinking,
money.
why can't management...
That's what I call it, mailbox money.
That's right, mailbox money. Why can't management be the same way? So that way you're protected even when they go, I think this is a sinking ship and I gotta go. Okay, great. You can walk at any point. I get 2 to 4%, 5% maybe, just because attorneys get 5% on everything. I get 5% in perpetuity on anything that we worked on during the duration of the term of our agreement.
That's a great idea.
That's it. So it's a simple thing. It's kind of like, okay, you've gone on to work with Red Light now, no problem. But all that stuff that you released during the time that we worked together, I'm going to collect 5% on. Like a producer would, like an attorney would down the road, whatever it may be.
I tried that once, though. I'll tell you one thing. I don't know what your attorney said.
Oh, we made the contract.
You did.
It's incredible.
Because my attorney was like, they don't like the word perpetuity.
A lot of people don't.
They like a cap on an amount of years, even if it's 20 years.
But the way
they just want.
I know, but the way we explained it is 1% in perpetuity seems a lot better to somebody than 20% for 5 years, 15%.
Oh yeah, if you're doing that,
for 10 more years,
well,
then 5%.
Yeah, totally agree.
So the sunset clause thing can be brutal on an artist.
Yeah.
To me, that's the part that is actually the hardest on an artist is the sunset clause, because they're double paying. They're paying a new manager 20%, and they're paying your sunset clause. So when you're looking at a measly 3% on just the stuff you touched, because sunsets even, that's for everything in the future too. For whatever they make for the next 20 years, 10 years, you can sunset out. That's a way worse deal when you actually look at it and go, oh wait, 5% just on the stuff that we worked on during the duration.
Funny. The reason why I'm saying is because I have that in mind. I remember my attorney saying that.
But you guys are saying.
But what I did is I created an agreement because I don't want to sign everybody, and I'm trying to get away from the title of manager because I'm more of an A&R person. I just spilled into management, but so it would be more like you're saying a production or consulting. So I call it artist representative.
But
and then it's a lot.
So
like
ours
what you're
is
saying.
actually structured as a consulting agreement. Instead of it being a management agreement.
Yeah, so you can go do whatever.
And
I'm still going to get taken care of.
You still have like a 2-year term or whatever you want it to be. But I'll consult over everything that comes across the desk in your career. But during that time frame, let's say I got you a Disney show. Let's say you got this during that. Whatever it is in that 2-year term that you consulted over, managed, whatever you want to call it, you would take a percentage.
And you know what else you can do too, is you can put a piece of language in there that says, if you move on to somebody's like full-time management, because maybe you don't want to be a manager, right?
Sure.
You just want to do the fun building part.
Yeah.
You'd be like, I'll still be your mentor.
That's right, and consult if you
and
want
like 5%.
That's
you
right.
can call me anytime for advice and run this stuff by me.
So
but see now that's the way to keep a relationship, because I always tell artists, I tell all my young artists like Cordell Warner, a manager is why I hate calling people my manager, because she kind of manages me, but I get advice from her all the time. And she if I need somebody to really pounce on somebody and beat their ass, I'll call her, because she'll know how to knock them down, and and she'll tell me if I'm wrong or not, and she has no problem telling me if I'm right or wrong.
Yeah.
And then I'll get chewed about what I should have covered before this happened. But anyway.
Yeah. I always tell them that. Why'd you do this?
Because a manager is like marriage. You either you either die and leave each other lonely, or you get a bad divorce and it's ugly and it's
No.
freaking
Well,
all
I
this
want an
shit
artist.
happens.
I want an artist to leave if they're not happy. I don't.
Always.
I'm always like, I can sit on the couch and play with my dog and be happier. So
Being
whatever.
an artist
bye.
myself, I don't want somebody to feel obligated or that they have to in it.
Right.
And that, you know, like my mantra when I did transition to this side of the business was always, I'll always do what's best for the artist. So if we have reached a plateau or if we've reached a spot where we're just not working well together, then I got to do what's best for the artist and let them go. However, there's a way that you still don't have to get screwed.
Right.
In terms of being the person who did teach them everything, who did give them the foundation pieces. And so often we just don't help those people that did that. Now, I don't know how true this story is or not. I've kind of heard it secondhand, but from people who could really know, I heard that Taylor Swift did that. And that's where I actually got the idea of the in perpetuity thing for the contract that we created, which was from her. She apparently, so when she lived in Pennsylvania, she started doing her little demos really young, like 11 or 12 years old or whatever. Her parents apparently took it to the local radio guy there. His name is Frank, I think, if I remember correctly the story. And they took it to Frank. Frank heard the record and was like, whoa, she's really good. I know this person down in Nashville. Let me make a phone call. See if I can get y'all a meeting. He didn't ask for anything, no strings attached, nothing. That phone call was to Scott.
Wow.
That's his friend
And that
who was
propelled her career.
starting a label, right? And he said, "You gotta hear this little girl." Scott was like, "Send her down. Let's meet." The day that she was gonna fly to Nashville, she went to Frank. She was like, "Thank you so much for doing this for me. I can't believe I'm going to Nashville to meet Scott. This is so cool." And she said, "You're gonna be on my team for the rest of my life. You watch. I'm gonna pay you for the rest of your life because I'm gonna be a big star." And he was like, "Ha, that's funny. Well, you can just pay me 1% forever." She does. She to this day apparently pays Frank 1% of her career forever. Now this is a girl who's bringing in $500 to $600 million a year. What's 1%? Of $500 million. And then I heard that she also like gave him a role where when she's on tour, he's the guy that will kind of walk from the box to box groups, like people that are in the boxes, and it's Frank that will, come in and say hello and whatever. I think that's so admirable, and I hope it's a true story, because I have to tell you, like, that's exactly what I mean by what I kind of wanted to cultivate and create,
Kind of off the subject, but about Taylor Swift, because this is a good one. No, this is awesome, because there was a guy from New Madrid. I'm from New Madrid County, and this guy from New Madrid, the actual town.
Where is that?
I grew up between, it's Boot Hill, Missouri. I grew up between New Madrid and Portersville, a place called Portersville. I went to high school in Portersville, but anyway, we all are pretty close. But this guy in New Madrid, he wrote her, I guess, a Facebook message or something like that.
Taylor?
Wrote her and said, "I'm your biggest fan." Period. Oh. And he's doing bad. I think his health's very well. And she drove from here to there and went to his house and knocked on the door without any kind of, hey, I'm coming or anything.
No way.
Wow.
And just hung out with him for the whole day. And I was like, wow, that's pretty freaking.
I have chills.
Yeah, because
so
nobody, there wasn't a bunch of cameras there to see it or nothing like that. And of course, when she got there, whatever, of course, he's like, "Do you mind if I call the paper?" So it was a big thing around she stayed in the hotel. I never thought she'd stay in, over there.
That's
so it was
so nice to hear, right?
Yeah. She drove from here. She just got up one morning and drove over there and went and hung out with him.
So sweet.
Playing a bunch of songs, and he played guitar, and I know for sure that happened, so it wouldn't surprise me.
So it wouldn't surprise you if the Frank story's true.
Yeah, she's a real nice young lady. So
yeah, what she's done for the community, even of songwriters and other artists, was so admirable. When her deal was up and like really structuring the whole thing with Republic to say, "I'll sign with you, but you have to give the masters back to all Republic artists, not one, not a couple, not the big ones." All. She said, "If you want my masters, if you want my catalog, you're going to give a massive portion of the masters back to the artist." That's insane. So I wouldn't put it past her, that's for sure.
Well, let me ask you a point blank question. I already know her views, but I can't wait to let her chime in on it because she's awesome.
Oh gosh, here we go.
So, did Roswell really happen? Let's get on the aliens here. Did Roswell really happen? Because I saw a thing on it last night, and I'm just curious because that's why Roswell came up. But what do you think?
Okay, I'll put it this way. First and foremost, I'm a God person. So to me, if all things are possible in God, as they say,
No, I think so too.
and yes, all things are possible. I think the supernatural is possible. I think that everything from ghosts to aliens to how could he have stopped with us?
Right.
He's just
I
too
agree.
creative himself. So,
Okay, well,
yes.
I want to say real quick. This is kind of off, but we're gonna get back to aliens. I want to tell you what I think ghosts are. You know what ghosts are. Most of them. I'm not saying all of them. Okay, so this is only like, especially guys who knows recording. Okay, so back in the day when we used analog tape, right?
Yeah.
We would record and do takes over the same spot of tape, right? And we keep on going. Then all of a sudden there'd be a spot where you'd hear something. You'd be like, "What's that?" Print through. It's where the erase head didn't quite erase over the tape, right? Mm-hmm. So when he spun the freaking time into motion, because there really is no time when you get outside of Earth. There's no sun going up, sun going down. So
Yeah.
So when he spun it in time and he made the time machine, I mean, God looked at it and went, so my eraser doesn't work. You know, the erase head doesn't quite, because as we're spinning, time is erasing, but there's some spots that the time just does not erase. And you see those visions or those things. And I really, because I saw this video of this ghost at Gatlinburg, and it freaked me out because it's like, it looks like it's just a tape just going over and over again. I said, I see. That's God's. He went, okay, it's not perfect, but you know what? Give him something to talk about. Now, if something talks back to you, that's not good. That's something.
Yeah. To me, there's also if there's
and
good,
I'm
there's
telling you,
bad.
you can ask
This is
Tiffany.
the way it is.
The thing about this place over here is that I swear, and you can ask
By
her.
a cemetery too.
This really happened. I'm out there sitting at that table out there outside on the deck, or outside on the parking garage, whatever, or not garage, but carport, whatever you want to call it. So I'm sitting out there, and she comes in here, and I'm sitting there, and I was looking out that way for some reason, and she was talking to me right there in that door. But I couldn't understand her, and I said, "Hey, honey, what'd you say?" She's like, she comes out, she's like, "I don't know because I didn't say it, but it sounded just like me." And I was like, "That wasn't you?" She's like, "No, but I heard me talking to you." And it freaked her out. And it freaked me out too. Like, because I couldn't understand what she was saying, but she was standing at that door talking to me. And then she was always back in the kitchen. So I was like, man, we were like, whoa. Yeah. And we was not doing mushrooms that night.
Right.
We wasn't
Have
one
you
of those
had
things.
anything like that happen since then?
Yes, we had one other thing.
Because I don't feel anything in here, and I'm very susceptible.
It happened again. Well, the thing is, I was on the phone with TJ, and I had my phone up one night, and I was in here, and he goes, "Man, are you there by yourself?" I said, "Oh yeah, I'm here by myself." My son just let He goes, "There's somebody behind you, somebody." And I went, "What?" Yeah, he goes, "Yeah, man, there was somebody standing right behind you, standing at that door, and he he looked like he had a patch or something over his eye." Okay, well that was like, so I got he's like, "Go through the house." I'll get my pistol. I'm going through here. Yeah. I'm like making sure nobody's here. That was before Kyle moved in. Well, then before Tiffany and the kids moved over here, she came over with the boys, just my little boys, and so we made them a pallet over there by the door, and we were on the futon, and it's like 3 a.m. I wake up and Colin's standing right over me. He goes, "Dad." I'm like, "What, son?" "Somebody's in the kitchen." I said, "Son, nobody's in here. I'm gonna tell you, nobody." So I get up, I walk around, get the gun, walk around. Nobody's here. But so let's just go sleep. Let's go sleep. So the next morning, I get to ask him. I said, "So what did the guy look like?" He goes, "He walked funny and he had one eye."
Eek.
That's
isn't there like a Civil War thing over there?
Yeah.
Well, maybe they're coming from that.
Well, Mr. Billy Burnett sent a energy healer over here. You know, for
No, I love it. I
No,
love
but-
it.
no,
I love
no,
it.
but-
Yes, and I love it.
but he sent an energy healer over here when Jesse was over next time because it was so bad that I would fall asleep when Tiffany would come and see me, and she said there would be somebody up in the attic. And it's not squirrels; it's somebody walking around. She's like, she's scared to death, you know. And Sis is scared to go to kids. She's like, oh, now I felt it because the other night she's like, oh my God, I know I saw a shadow go across the thing. And you do every once in a while. That side is a little bit spooky, man. This
Over
side,
by Kyle.
yeah, this side isn't so bad. But
Well, I can tell you just from like what my experiences like with houses and people, and it's I've proven it. Like people not even know what I'm doing. This side is very clean. That side is very dark.
I know.
I can tell you that. I know that just going into the living room.
And
I
It's a-
walked through it too. And
Energy.
Literally
Will you
felt
feel
the
it?
same.
Yeah.
it does feel weird.
This side is nice. And that side's
I
a little
want
dark.
to put like hardwood
dark.
floors
There's
in there and
something
stuff.
going on over there.
I want to really fix it up and put bright colors in there and like a hardwood floor
I like
type
the
of thing.
colors over there.
You know what I mean? Fix it up.
So I love being here. It's like so cool.
Because Sis needs a desk, you know what I'm saying? Jackson needs a place to edit stuff and just kind of make it where it's nice, but we never can't slow down enough to do that.
I know. That's the part
We
of the
never,
problem.
you know, because it's like that's why I love doing the podcast because I do something besides sit there and freaking, I'm not saying I'm going crazy. I've already gone crazy.
Yeah.
But man, I'm very blessed. I'm not complaining because I found myself complaining the other night, and I said, "What are you doing? I mean, you're the luckiest guy in the world to have people
I
you
feel
have."
that way too. And sometimes I'll have hard days over here, of course, but it's like, for the most part, and I talk to Kevin about it all the time. I'm like, I still can't.
But
believe
you're
I
so
get
lucky to be here.
every day. Yeah, it's like even just walking over here to you, it was like I felt like if we have such a great sense of family and community over here. Like I just love that I can walk out my building and then walk right next to Malcolm. And I will say, just so you know, and I don't even know if you knew the story. I know you knew that my mother passed away recently. She passed away in January. Thank you. Very unexpectedly, very suddenly. And so that's a devastating way to lose somebody. They're in your life 1 minute, and 30 minutes later they're gone. So that's kind of the way it was, and we weren't prepared for that, And she didn't really leave anything for us to know. It's like you're guessing at everything in terms of, does she want to donate organs? Does she want to be in the ground? Does she want to be in a mausoleum?
Oh my goodness, yeah.
You're guessing at everything, and you just have to follow your gut and kind of talk your way through it. Now, luckily, I have a brother here in town too, so we handled it together. But ultimately, weirdly enough, and all God things, I had only been working here for 8 months or so when she passed in January, maybe less at that time, and I knew there was a cemetery behind it. And I knew there was a lot of famous people buried back there and stuff. But my brother and I had decided just collectively that we would make this cemetery Woodlawn her resting place because it's basically directly between my brother and I, like from where we live. And he's in Madison, I'm in Franklin, so it was going to be like super in the middle. So long story short, though, it is a huge cemetery, as you know.
Oh yes, huge.
And I mean huge. I didn't even realize how big it was
Oh
until I
my
went
God,
over there
it's so
to
huge.
start handling all this stuff. Went in and we had our budget. Our budget was what it was. It was a really low budget. Said, so please let us know what's in that price range. And they said, we will. Come back tomorrow. We came back the next day, and they start driving us kind of all through the grounds. And they're like, so there's only 2 spots that were available, in your budget. And they know nothing about my life.
No.
Nothing about me personally. These are all, like, it's a very sensitive time. They're not asking you about your job in life. You know what I mean? So, we getting closer and closer and closer to the back of the studios. And I was like, no way. I kept thinking to myself, surely we're not going to stop right here. She stops the car right behind the cave. And she said,
Wow.
so this spot right here by the tree that I have marked is available. And then a little bit on the hill by that other tree. And I said, are you kidding me? These are the only 2 spots in the entire cemetery that are available. And she was like, oh, do you not like it? I said, well, do you see all these painted murals right here in these? I said, have you ever wondered about this? She said, oh, we love those. They're so pretty, the painted murals. We've even told people when they're over here, that it's a recording. So I said, well, I run these studios here. I manage the campus. And she was like, no way. So my mother is buried right behind the cave. You can see it from right there.
Wow.
She's underneath the tree right there. We wanted it by the road so that in cold months my brother could just pull up and be right there. Mm-hmm. And so, like, I think today your sister saw me walking out because her companion is still alive, and they were together for 15, 20 years. He's like a stepdad to us, and he was diagnosed with stage 4 liver cancer in November before my mom passed in January. She was his caregiver, so now he's living with me and I'm caregiving for him.
Oh, my.
And he had called me. I was in the office today. He said, "Hey, are you free? I drove up to Mom. I'm out back." And I said, "Oh, yeah, I'll come out. Don't be by yourself." So I was walking and your sister saw me. I was like, "Don't mind me. Just going back." I'm cutting through your lawn to get back there, and my mom is buried right there. So I talked to her in the morning when I get out of the car. "Hey, Mom." So more than ever now, I'm like, I have to work here the rest of my life. My mom was there. But the day we were laying her to rest, and the pastor was out there and everything, T-Bone was in the cave that day. And as you know, T-Bone is like, he loves to go loud. I mean, so much so he's constantly blowing out our speakers. And we just hear boom, boom. And I'm like, oh my gosh, my mom would love this. She loved music so much. Mm-hmm. And so the fact that she's buried right there. So we do have a good spirit always around.
That's good.
That's
Mama,
awesome, man.
Right behind us.
That's so awesome.
What's funny is because last week I went for all those heart tests, right? Well, I'm fine. My heart's fine.
Thank
but,
God.
But I'm not fine. I mean, I'm definitely not fine. Last night I had a tough time getting out of here. Just getting up from the seat, I mean, I'm having a rough time. But I don't know what's
You
wrong
look
with me.
better today, though, by the way.
I feel better today. But I told Tiffany where I wanted to be buried, and it's right down there under that tree down at the end, And she's like, "Why?" I said, "So, because when I get ready to record, I can just get up and go to the studio. I don't have to freaking catch a ride."
You're there, coming in messing with the dials.
No, but because
I'll be like, oh.
You can be right next to my mom. There's a plot right next to it. So.
Well, it's down because I'm not going to start on my. Well, I guess I can because that's where this is all about too. I mean, I know it sounds ridiculous, but I'm telling you, it really happened. Have you ever heard of the Mandela Effect?
Yes.
Those 2 trees that are at the end of there, down there, they just appeared one day. Just appeared. I'm like, so I took a picture of them and said, okay, but the guy used to be over here with Jesse Corby, a really close friend of mine, still is. And I was like, dude, was these trees here when you were here? Because you just left 6 months ago. He goes, no. He just put, what the fuck? It's like, are you serious? I'm like, well, they're not trees that you can plant there because there's graves over there. So you can't just, those are huge freaking trees.
Jeez.
And they disappeared one day. And I'm like, hang on here. Because now there's things, though, that I do notice every once in a while change. And I'm like, hang on, because that wasn't there. But those trees are the one. But anyway, that was before you got here. They changed because I ran that graveyard for years running, and I never saw those trees. I couldn't have missed them. I promise. They were fucking huge, But anyway. So enough for the Mandela Effect. You know what that is, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just. I mean, some of the things to say. I'm sorry, but say what's his name didn't work for Publishers Clearinghouse. Is the most ridiculous shit. Ed McMahon not working for Publishers Clearinghouse is the most outrageous shit I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah.
Publishers Clearinghouse put out things saying he has never worked for us. Never has done. Well, I remember him being on the Johnny Carson. No, it wasn't Johnny Carson. It was a Johnny Carson show. And Johnny Carson handed him a huge check.
From the Publishers Clearinghouse.
Like he did the Publishers Clearinghouse thing. But he never worked for them.
Weird.
Do you remember? Y'all remember?
I do. I feel like I remember Ed McMahon being
when he showed up at your house, he's going to give you a check. He never has worked for him.
Weird.
Yeah, right.
So.
Yeah, right.
But well, there's other stuff too, like the monocle and the freaking Monopoly guys. I mean, how in the world is there never been a monocle in his eye? Never. Never has had a monocle. Never.
What do you mean?
Nope,
I see
never.
it.
Never has been a monocle. Never, not one day. Nope.
They say that.
They're not saying it. I'm looking at it. You can't find it anywhere. How the hell? Well, how about Jif peanut butter? Remember that commercial?
Yeah.
Oh, nope. Never existed. Never existed. I'm like, why you? No, Jiffy. Jiffy peanut butter. Jiffy peanut butter was a thing when we were kids. Well, it never existed. Never existed. Never existed.
Says who?
I mean, ridiculous, but I tell you, I know the day Nelson Mandela died because I remember seeing it when I was a little kid. I remember everybody was so sad. This great leader, this guy who stood for freaking freedom, and also he died. And then all of a sudden, it's like 25 years later, he died again.
He's alive and died.
I'm like, how the hell did he die? He died 25 years ago. And half of the world will tell you, most of the world will tell you, oh, I remember when he died.
Oh my goodness.
But he didn't die. I mean, there was some crazy stuff in there. But the thing is, okay, you guys repeat this now back to me. Okay, oh, y'all finish it. Mirror, mirror on the wall.
Who's the fairest of them all?
Wrong. Not anymore.
What is it?
Magic mirror on the wall.
Why?
Because the Mandela Effect, because somebody that's traveling back in time, they triggered something to make it change, and that's what's going on. Because at some point, humans are going to
I
travel
think somebody
back in
just
time.
messed up and didn't say it right.
Yeah, and then
No,
that
no.
caught on
No, look,
social
look.
media.
I'm going to tell you, there's one thing I do know. Mirror, mirror on the wall was exactly what she said, but not
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Now it's magic mirror on the wall.
No. Never a Magic Mirror. That's because they're promoting Magic Kingdom.
Oh.
It's a rebranding.
No, I'm telling you.
I'm telling you.
But do y'all
Sounds
remember?
like a marketing thing.
Y'all remember
Sounds like
being?
a marketing stunt, huh?
Y'all remember being mirror, mirror on the wall?
I remember, yeah.
Go look at watch Snow White. Snow White.
Yeah.
Now watch it now because it doesn't say that now.
But that's what I'm saying. They changed it because they want to promote
On
Magic
every
Kingdom.
single VHS tape that's ever been sold.
Was mirror, mirror.
Now it's on every VHS tape, every CD, every DVD.
Because they want to push Magic Kingdom.
Yeah, but he's
But I'm saying,
how
though,
could
they've already
change
bought it
a
years
VHS
ago.
tape?
Oh.
The only thing that can change it is something happened in time, and all of a sudden it's just different.
Okay.
It is really
I'll
odd.
have to go check and see if I have that.
It's really odd. It's like, I mean, there was some stuff I just went, hang on here now, come on now. Now I know better than that. McMahon never worked for Publishers Clearinghouse. Bullshit. Now that makes me flat out mad because I know better than that. And Jiffy peanut butter, I remember eating out of Jiffy peanut butter.
I remember Jiffy.
I love
There's
peanut
no
butter.
Jiffy peanut butter.
Huh?
But there's no Jiffy peanut butter?
No.
What is it then?
Never was.
I gotta Google
Now
this.
it's just Jif.
I gotta go-
It was just Jif. The whole time I'm like, bullshit. It was Jiffy. Jiffy peanut butter was the thing. And there's a bunch of stuff that I look at and I go, there is no way. But what's going on is
Well, they got to change it because of LLC.
I'm saying
I'm always thinking of all the business stuff. I
not,
can't help it.
No,
It's
this is from
somebody
a
had
long,
to like write off something,
long time
so
ago.
they changed it.
Okay.
And they bought
It
this
was changed
instead.
to Jif.
but it never
Oh,
it
God.
never has been Jiffy. It's always been Jif.
Well, maybe you just called it Jiffy, or you're thinking
Weird.
Skippy, and you added a Y to Jif.
I don't
Weird,
know.
weird.
That one's iffy, but the monocle not in the freaking Monopoly guy's eye. Come on, man.
When did that happen?
I mean, it never happened. It never was there.
Yeah, it was
Never one day did the freaking guy have a monocle in his eye. Never.
the banker guy or whatever.
Yep, never did. But you know, I remember just that. That's what I remember about him most. But they never. If you go back and look at any Monopoly
that's
game
crazy.
back to 19 whatever, 70 whatever, none of them have a monocle in his eye now. But see, that's what's weird. Your pictures change with the
Yeah.
thing. So it's like, well, people can say it's horse shit, but there's too many of those horse shits. It's just a little too weird.
Yeah.
But the Ed McMahon thing just flat out made me mad. There was another one though that was, it was a Star Wars thing. It was
Oh,
There you
now
go.
we're
Sorry.
talking.
no,
Star
no,
Wars.
no, no. I'm serious. Like where
She loves Star
where
Wars.
Darth
She
Vader
just said that.
said, Luke, I am your father.
Yes.
Well, it doesn't say that anymore. It says, it says something different. Just look it up real quick because I'm telling you.
He said
hey,
what?
no, let him look it up. Hey,
He's
look
looking
that
it up.
shit up, man.
They're looking it up.
Look that shit up. Sidetrack.
He says no, I am your father, not Luke, I am your father. I know that one.
He says
Wait, he said-
no.
he
He
says-
definitely
he says-
doesn't. He
he
says,
says, "No,
Luke, I
I'm your
am
father."
your father.
Yeah.
No, but he
says
said.
no, he says
That's
no,
gonna make
I
me
am your
real
father.
angry. That
But
one.
but there was another one in Star Wars that changed too.
Oh, I don't know.
That was pretty big too.
God, I
Sleep
love
at
Star
door
Wars.
crackers. It's freaking hot.
You like the new ones too,
Oh yeah.
with Anakin. And
Oh,
everything?
yeah.
Oh my God, yeah, me too.
See, I love all of them too.
Oh,
me
yeah.
too.
Did you see the
The next one that comes out, we should all go together.
The solo?
I'm so
did, you,
down.
did you see the solo? Did you see Solo?
Yeah, Solo was amazing. And Rogue One is actually one of my favorite
Yeah, I
ones.
like
I
that
know
one,
it's
too.
like an oddball one, but
Yeah, I like
oh my
that one.
gosh, it's incredible.
So
Very dark.
You get the
Rogue One.
Mandalorian.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I'm too.
Mandalorian all the
I'm
way.
too. Big.
Yeah.
And then there's the other one too, the Boba whatever.
Boba Fett.
What a weird character to start doing a thing off of.
Yeah, but in Star Wars communities, Boba Fett is very important.
Really?
Yeah. Because he's the clone. He's the reason that the Clone Wars even
Happened,
existed.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
and
cool.
happened. So Boba Fett's...
Did you read the
Very
books
important.
too?
I didn't. So my brother's like more diehard in that sense. Definitely like more the comics and the books and stuff. He knows
Wow.
everything. If you ever need a podcast on
That's
Star
amazing.
Wars, it's my brother. But I do know quite a bit.
My stepdad read the books, and then I remember when, and I think it was 76 or 77. The first one came out.
Mm-hmm.
We were down at the shore, and we had a house down in Long Beach Island, New Jersey. And I remember my dad and my mom taking me and my brother. We were like, I don't know, like, how old was I? 67, 77. I was 10.
Mm-hmm.
So okay.
Mhm.
So he was like, I'm like 10. He's 8, and they're walking us over, and we're going to Star Wars because my stepdad was such a sci-fi fan.
Amazing.
He
Just
had read
happens to
all
be
the
a
Star
sci-fi-
Wars stuff.
Yeah.
And he's like, we're going to see the movie. I will never forget walking over in the summer, and that was the first thing. And then I just
Yeah.
got into it, and ever since then I've watched every single
Oh,
one.
they're the best.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
So
just
my
incredible.
dad took me and my brother.
So amazing.
And
Mm.
the movie theater was so sold out, and we couldn't sit together. And I said, Dad, I don't want. If I can't sit by you, I don't want to see the movie. I could tell he was super aggravated, but and my brother was really aggravated. But I'm like, Dad, no, I don't want to sit by people I don't know. No, I don't want. If I'm not going to
tough.
sit by you, why am I?
That'd be
I'm
weird.
not watching a movie with you. Then I'm watching a movie with some other people, and I don't
Right.
care about seeing this. But anyway, I remember him being very aggravated. But I think I was 7 or 8. It was the first one.
So I wasn't born for the first one
Right.
because that was in the 70s.
Oh man.
I missed it by 2 years. I was born in '80s, so don't get me
Okay,
wrong. I'm
that's a
not
little
that
better.
old.
That's a
I'm
little
not that
better.
young. I'll put it that way. But here's the thing, though. Did y'all ever read about how George Lucas? First of all, everybody said no to him with these, right? And his best friend from film school was Steven Spielberg, who was already crushing it with Jaws and with a bunch of other stuff, and they were besties. George couldn't get the funding for his crazy idea of Star Wars, all this stuff. Excuse me. And so, long story short, he had funded himself. He raised the money himself. And I think at that time, if I remember correctly, it was like $1 million that he raised, which in the 70s was a lot of money.
Oh, hell yeah.
But they only had $1 million budget for that first movie. And he just got as creative and as innovative as he could with, the space scenes and the fight scenes and the whatever it could be. But he went the day that it was supposed to release, right? He said, he called Steven and he was like, this is likely going to be a huge flop. And I think Steven Spielberg was releasing a movie at the same time too.
He was probably releasing E.T. Just kidding.
It wasn't E.T., but it was something that was a flop. So, anyway, they were releasing a movie at the same time. They were buddies from film school, even though Steven was already hugely successful. And so Steven's like, well, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna go to the theater? Where are you gonna be when this is released? This is crazy. So you're finally doing it. You're releasing Star Wars. And he said, no, I'm going to Hawaii with my wife and just hoping for the best. Like, I don't want to be anywhere around in case everybody thinks it's crazy and it sucks. We're gonna be on an island. He gets a call. I think it was like 5 hours after the movie was released or whatever, or 2 or something. And he gets a call from the publicist, and they're like, you need to get back to Los Angeles immediately. Well, okay, so before that happened, Steven was like, I believe in you, man. It's going to be great. How about, we make a bet? If your film, does the best, then you got to give me 10% of it. And if my film does better, I'll give you 10% of it forever, right? And they're like, okay, deal. You got a deal, but you're going to be paying me, Steven, because mine's going to be the flop. Oh, boy, right? So about 6 hours later is when his PR team was like, you need to get back to LA immediately. This is like nothing anyone has ever seen before. Every movie theater across the country and the world have lines wrapped around blocks everywhere.
Wow.
For your movie.
Because
And the chills that you think about. And he was like, are you serious?
That's so cool.
And because he was the only one who really believed in it himself, To this day, he pays Steven Spielberg 10% of the first movie. It's in Wikipedia. Like you can literally look it up.
Well, of course, sidetrack in there, and and my sister look at me like I'm crazy half the time. I know, but I have this theory. George Lucas was probably, I mean, comparatively, almost like a somebody that, put it this way, the Force. By the way, what I said earlier, the way I put it was wrong. I'm around a bunch of uncommon people. And you have to be uncommon around a bunch of uncommon people to really stand out and be great at what you're doing. But anyway,
I love that. So
but that the Force is like it's real, and but it's he knew that, but he no, can we move objects and stuff like that? But no, but I can arrange songs better than anybody you ever
That's
met
right.
in your
We
life.
move objects in different ways.
Exactly, because the gift I got was arrangement and piano. I've never had one piano lesson, and that was it. And it was.
But it just came.
But I mean, it was weird because I just sat down and started playing. So, which is a very odd thing, for an 8-9-year-old kid to do. But and songwriting is funny because when I went home for Easter, my mom showed me I had written a song for every single month and every single holiday this one year. And
That's a good idea.
And but I drew a picture with it, whatever the holiday was, and I was super young, and I was like, wow. So I've been. She was like, you came out of me writing songs, So, but the Force, like I don't want to get in reincarnation because I totally know that Christ said that there was, but that's beside the point. So but where does those gifts come from, and where does the Force come from, and then how do you use them? What I mean? How do you learn to use them? And
for good or bad.
and like I know that situations are hard to control, and you guys being women, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. We've had to use a different kind of force for sure.
Yeah.
At times.
Well, man, I was raised by the greatest woman to ever walk this planet, and my aunt. Not that my other aunt isn't great, because she is, but she's
listening.
My Diane is an awesome woman, and she's brilliant. But she she doesn't carry that freaking watch what you say around me vibe. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That my Aunt Linda does it. Not in a bad way either. Just this is respect, and you're giving it, and and that's kind of vibe she is. I tell her she reminds me about Aunt Linda all the time. Now, you gotta meet, because it's one of those.
I love that.
Hey, you know what? I demand respect, and you're gonna give it to me, and that's got to be.
That's where the buck stops.
But that's but so the Force comes.
I can't even believe this. It took so long to get there, and people are telling me I do this, and I'm like, really? Okay.
Isn't that amazing?
I had no idea.
But I think that's why, is because you're not like focused on that on yourself. You know what I mean? And so that's why it comes out that way.
So how is it bossing all those guys around over there?
I definitely don't do that. Definitely don't do that. I think I was, like you just said, you were raised by a really great woman. I was too, but I was also raised by a really great man.
Oh, I was raised by my grandfather.
And so here's the thing, though. My dad taught me from a very young age that I'm no different than a boy. That I'm, he raised me like a boy. And I know that it may not be what feminists want to hear or whatever, but I'm thankful for the way that my dad raised me, because
Are you kidding
I
me?
feel like I can sit and feel comfortable in any situation. And he said, don't treat yourself any differently just because you're a girl. I'm not going to treat you differently. And he didn't. Granted, he's in the Marine Corps. He's as hardcore and as tough as you can possibly get.
My dad was a Navy guy.
Okay, there you go. And he's a Vietnam War vet and a POW and all that. We had, we were raised in a tough environment with him, and so it's a piece of cake. It's a piece of cake to me. Everything else in that sense, and I don't feel different.
Because I just feel like sometimes I'm making a mistake, but how I'm raising my girls, and my one's gone already. She's already moved out, but my little girl Punky, I'm just like, you don't ever depend on some man to make your way. You're your own person. Yep. You're not defined by any fucking man. No one's going to tell.
My husband
no one.
Taught his daughter the same thing.
No one defines you. You are your person, and you don't. Don't depend on some man to make your damn living.
That's
and,
right.
and make you their slave in the kitchen and all that stuff. This is how it is. It's like, you know what? You have to be a self-made woman, because if you're not, you're going to get ran over, because this is the time. This is not like it. This isn't like
different.
grandma
Yeah.
was growing up and
And
stuff.
I say, even if you do want to be in the kitchen cooking, cool.
Oh yeah,
do it.
because that's
That's your choice.
choice.
But your choice, and you define
Exactly.
what you want to do with
Yeah,
your life.
I never had actually. When I was growing up, my parents were like, I didn't have a choice. They're like, you're going to college.
Mm-hmm.
There was
Yeah.
I'm the oldest, of my mom's side. There was my brother, myself, my brother, and my half sister, and then on my dad's side it was me, my brother, and the two half brothers. But both parents, as I'm growing up, are like, you're going to college. Don't even think about anything else. You're going. And it just was in my head. Okay, I'm going to college. And then, of course, I wanted to be a lawyer and whatever. But, the point is like, there was always this path that I knew I was supposed to be on, and I had two strong grandmothers, who were very like. One was on my dad's side, was very in charge, and the other one, my mom's side, was very independent, very strong woman.
Yeah.
Like when she was young, she took off. Think about this, in the early 1920s or whatever,
that's unheard
30s.
of for a woman.
She went to New York and was a fine dining waitress from a small town. She's like,
That's
I'm just gonna go
unheard of.
learn that, and then I'll come back, and I'll get a job here. But at 17, like, she just
Brilliant.
took off. And so my mom has said to me over the years, she's always said to me, you come from a family of strong women.
Yeah.
So, so I never felt this thing where women feel like they got to rely on a man. I don't even know what that is.
Look. Let me back up a second, because
I know that.
because
What?
Tiffany, Tiffany works part time every once in a while. I make the living, whatever, but she wants to be a housewife. And to be honest with you,
That's okay. She
that's
wants
what I-
to be.
But
That's
that's what I want her to
It's
be
her
too.
choice.
Because but if she wants to do a career, because I think she's going to open a doggy daycare. I'm super excited
You
about.
got a
I know
client.
she's so excited.
Well, I'm super excited about us getting into a house, because, just her starting out and everything.
Yeah.
And, but that's her passion, and I'm like, okay, well, we need to get a house, and that way you can do that. And I think, if she does something she enjoys, like how in the world can I work as many hours as I work, because I love music that much, And it's like there's days that I'm like, man, I don't know if I can make it another hour. I don't know if I can make
But
it
that's
another
the
day.
balance. That means you just need to spend time with your family and take a break from
Yep.
it.
Which is also Star Wars related. It's
Yes.
about the balance.
The balance. And
Because
it-
then you come back
force
that much
has
stronger,
the
right?
balance,
When you get in the
yes.
balance. Then you come back like,
And that's something I had to learn as the Aries female that I am. Was like, I need to.
You're
need
Aries?
More, yeah.
I am
I'm a
too.
Taurus.
And
I'm an Aries.
Next week.
and I need that. I need to try. At that balance. And for the longest time, I didn't. It was
It's
just
hard.
go, work.
Me
push,
too.
push,
I
push.
feel
Because-
guilty if I'm not
Yeah,
working. It's like I'm
same.
supposed
You
to be
sit there
working.
and you're like, oh, what's going
Well-
on? But it is about balance, and I'm
It
a
is.
better person when I have that.
Oh, I am
You had
too.
that rest, right?
I mean-
you come back like
Rest and recovery.
tenfold. You're like,
replenish.
woo, here
I
we
can't
go.
wait until whatever's wrong with me is gone. And
Yeah, I'm gonna
'cause,
pray about that. I didn't know.
oh man, I'm in pain every night so bad. But anyway, that's not what we're here to talk about. But I will say this, like, when I am balanced with God and everything, getting up, I'm on a good schedule. But too, though, the other night I'm sitting here by myself, and I was really late. Maybe sis was here, or she was outside or something, And it's funny because everybody's, not everybody's screaming at me about getting stuff done, but I can feel some other clients, going, oh, hey man, what's up, But the whole thing about it is not listening to the people in the stands. My dad used to scream at me when I played baseball. Keep your eye on the ball. Keep your eye on the ball. And that's why I swore I heard him saying that. Just keep your eye on the ball. Just concentrate on what you're doing now, because what you're doing now is all you can do right now.
That's right.
You can't do all those other
Right
things.
then
And tomorrow, guess what I'm doing?
What are you doing?
You're gonna believe this. Well, I think you already know. I am going to career day at my kids'
Oh, that's
school.
right. Yeah, you told me about that.
Oh, how
So
fun.
you talking about, and I
full
probably have the
circle
more
moments.
kids there than anybody else, because I got 2 sets of twins there. So it's going to be pretty. No, but it is kind of weird having that many kids, and they're all in separate classes. So my email just gets bombarded constantly, because because they, they're used to have one parent having one teacher, and it's like,
but no, you have
I can't keep
four,
up with it
so-
all. It's like, and Brantley started football and stuff, and it's like, oh, Jesus, like, but the career day is gonna be kind of fun. You know what? And exactly, hey, the reason why I'm the most unorganized dad is because of my career.
Yeah.
And here's what I do, But it's, I wanted, Holly to go with me, but because but now,
Plane in the morning, or I would have.
but it is though. Tough, like I was saying, when my little girl says she wants to do what I want to do, and then me having to explain, or me thinking to myself, oh man.
Yeah.
But I think women producers are coming. I think they're
Well,
coming. I think there's a lot of stuff I get
and
coming.
You know that you'll have a full support system at East Iris because from the top down we support it and we're there for it. And here's the thing, I'm not just doing it because the girls that are over there and working, the women that are over there working in these positions, earned it, and they're great. I looked at every resume the same. We interviewed everyone the same. They stood out. They were the right people for the choice. Now, sometimes in the world that we come from, they'll still choose a guy just because there's this, like, camaraderie, or there's this feeling of, like, we should choose the dude, like, because then if it's, like, safe at night to close up, I mean, you just never know, right, what the reason why you feel the familiarity that you do. But, again, like I said, that's why you have to praise people like Pat Krause and Kevin Reeves, who are willing to also walk the plank and go, okay, it's obvious that it's rare that there are women engineers late at night doing whatever they're doing. What kind of situations can they be thrown into? That kind of stuff. But they finally said, nah, it's time. Let's make this happen. Let's do it, and let's support them, and let's see, because they're just as talented. They have just as great a resumes, and they are just as hardworking. So qualification-wise, I would never want to put someone in just to try to make a quota of a percentage of it's a woman, we have to make. No, we should earn it just as much, like my dad raised me to do, right? But the fact is, you still sometimes in our business need a man who's willing to say, I'm going to open the door for you, though. Because it is tougher. It's tougher to get that door open as a woman.
Well, it is very much, my occupation is huge, like male dominated, and it's like
It just is.
it just. But
just
why though? You never.
It's really, it's really.
I never
funny.
figured that out.
I never felt that though.
Me neither, though. Me neither. But when you look at, I just gotta
jump in and say this, and I know it's true. It exists. But when they were doing like Me Too and this and all that, I felt a disconnect, and I'm being honest here because I've never felt that. I just somehow whatever I did in my career. Whoever I surrounded myself with, I never felt that. I guess.
Did you ever though notice that it's like that you were surrounded mostly by men?
Yeah, but I never felt like though like I was not given an opportunity because I was a female, and I work around a lot. That's what I'm saying. I work around a lot of men, and I got to tell you, this is funny. So, a lot of times, if I can think about it, if I'm not too busy on International Women's Day, I have a photo that I love from my home office from about, 8 years back that I took. There's a pair of red Steve Madden pumps. I took one pump and I put it on my desk. I had my coffee mug next to it, and I got my laptop in the corner of it. Yeah. And it says, "Closing deals and heels."
Yeah.
That
was Liz Rosenberg.
Felt. Huh? Yeah.
I
never felt like, and I was like, and I got to tell you though, there was a time, there's one time I felt like I had to do that. I went goth on purpose. I love goth music and I loved all that. But I dyed my hair. It was like eggplant. I got a bob, and I was wearing maxi dresses like the Ralph Lauren look, and like under layer, and then the leggings and the granny shoes kind of look. Like it was this early 90s. It's during the 9 Inch Nails era and all that, right? And I was like, before that, I was blonde, and I was an assistant in the A&R department, and it was like, go get the coffee, right? Meanwhile, I had three 3-inch binders of all producer management organized, and all the producers, engineers, and mixers. So I used to sit there and study them all day long, and listen to all the demos, and answer the phone, and do all this. But I felt like I was still the coffee girl. So that's why I dyed my hair and everything. And I felt like I had to look different.
Yeah,
so they would like look at me.
Well,
small things like
me,
that. It's sometimes
Yeah.
It doesn't always mean that you're being mistreated. In
No.
fact, I've never had too many horrible situations happen. I've had a few where it was quite obvious what was going on, and I've had to just call out and be like, "I'm sorry. Did you think that this was a date?"
I did have that once
kind
or
of stuff
twice.
happens.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Right?
Like they
Jesus.
assume
Well, that's
because
just
Yeah.
you met for
And I'm like,
drinks.
wait,
you
I
met
thought
for drinks,
that
right? To
we're-
be social and do
Well,
business.
and because
and
you're
they're like,
supposed
oh,
to-
okay,
and I'm like,
how are
wait,
you?
did you think this is a date? And the second I say that, they're like, well, no, well, I mean, I'm like, I thought we were meeting, and they're like, well, I'm a little confused why you have such an interest in sitting here. Then well, because we're both in the music business,
Yeah.
and I thought that we were
Oh, yeah.
building a
You see,
work
now-
I did have
relationship.
that happen.
And I was like, would you have asked that about a man sitting with you? You know, it's literally, so those kinds of, it's like little small things that you're like, gosh. And then, by the way, that person will never talk to me again. It's
And
a
you know
shame.
what? I think I felt a little bit lucky.
And I wish they would still talk to me. Like, even after I pointed out
Yeah.
of kind of like,
they got weird.
no, we're not on a date here, but it's cool. I want to get to know you because I think we can do
but,
business together.
But I would say it's coming from a man's thing. I can see somebody being, like, if they think you're attractive, wherever you should be. Well,
that's the
thanks for
bottom line.
thinking I'm attractive, but that's not what we're here for. We're
That's-
here to
that's
talk some
right.
business.
That's right.
But-
And so then, can't you just move on from that and still talk business? No, the second it's shut down, I'm off their radar. They don't talk to me.
You know
anymore.
what's funny? The only time
but-
that happened, and I'm not trying to be weird,
What?
was down here. I didn't have that in LA. Ever.
Oh gosh, I had a lot in
although,
LA.
okay,
And
I
New
don't
York,
want to
but-
offend anybody. I don't want to offend anybody.
No,
Okay, I'm not going to.
listen,
I'm
you're
just
not
trying to offend.
No,
And when they
we're
listen
not
to this
offended here.
podcast, I'm going to say this. I did not take any dates to anything. I always took my female friends to networking parties and stuff because we wanted to meet as many people as we could. And I found out that later from some men industry guys that were kind of heavy hitters, like not high up. They were like in my level. They weren't the senior guys. They said, "Oh, we thought you were gay all this time," because I was dating people and
But men go together with their wingman all the time.
and but they said that about me because you know why? Because they would hit on me and I would say I'm not interested because I was dating people that were probably artists, but I didn't want them to know my business
Right.
because then they'd say I was a groupie.
Right.
So I
No,
kept my private
there-
life
so
separate.
you have had experiences that I'm talking
Yeah,
about.
a little bit like that.
And I agree with you. The whole
That
Me
was
Too
a-
thing,
yeah,
I
that
don't
was
really
crazy.
relate. I mean, listen, everybody has their own story. And and honestly, like, have been surrounded by amazing, supportive men in this business. So I'm not complaining.
Right.
I think to your point, though, of having this podcast, which I appreciate, once again, it sometimes takes a man to say, no, let's sit down and talk about this. So I'm really thankful for that, for the sake of the podcast. So it's like pointing out these little things that you probably sitting there going like, oh, I never really even thought about that. That
But
you
I
would be
can see-
perceived a certain way just because you're a
Yeah,
woman.
but to back that up though, I never felt like I didn't get a job or an opportunity. Because
No, neither.
It was
But
just
that's
like
due
a
to-
social
to me,
setting,
that's
though.
due to your hard work and
Exactly.
perseverance of like really pushing it through.
Yeah, there were social settings.
But
though, I
you
had
guys
deal
have
with
to
that.
see who I grew up in the industry around.
Oh, I'm sure.
Julie Greenwald. I mean, come on. I mean,
badass.
the woman is to be feared. I mean,
She's
I love her
the
to
great-
death. And if she hears
she's
this,
a goat.
you know what? I plan on trying to get her
She's
here.
a goat.
One of these days, I'm gonna get her
Oh
here.
my gosh, if you do, I want to shake her hand.
Because she's I
the
mean,
coolest.
that's why oh yeah. And what about Diana?
Jody Gershon here, she's amazing.
Diana
too.
Fragnito. What about Lee Danae? Like all the women that,
Listen, there have
that
been
I worked
some
with that were
definitely-
fucking so awesome to work for.
That have broken the glass
And,
ceiling.
and to be honest with you, that I wanted their opinion. I went to them for their
Yeah.
opinion, that's what's crazy. So but you know what though? But I'm from the country, so I don't notice
You know
things
who's a
so
great?
much.
I'm going to jump in and say a man that was really a great person for female, a great advocate, was Danny Goldberg.
Yeah.
I loved
Yep.
working with him.
That was under. That's
When I was
where
on Atlantic
Diana came
Records,
from.
he was running the A&R department there.
almost to your point, but a little twist on it. I've actually found, and this is a twist on the whole conversation, that women in the business hold other women back more.
Really?
Yeah, than a man will. So to your point of like, men have never really not given me a shot in the business and this and that. I've actually seen more so women will tear each other
Wow.
down to advance themselves faster, right? And because there's this competitive feel of like, well, there's really only a couple slots for a woman anywhere. So you end up like feeling like, oh, I got to tear this woman down to get forward. It's a culture I'm trying to protect over there with so many women working, and it's going like,
that's great. That
no,
you're doing
you don't
that.
bring another person down or try, to make up something or say something that is just not true, just to advance you further.
Yeah, it's terrible.
But it happens. It
I
really
know.
does.
I'm glad that you're like aware
I have to
of
say
that,
this too.
That's amazing.
I don't think it only happens with women. I will say it's because I don't want I don't want Tiffany seeing this and getting upset. But it's like there was a label woman. I'm not going to definitely won't say who she worked for. Somebody who was really, really icon. In the business that had an artist signed to them, and we were just hanging out. And then all of a sudden it's like, well, if I didn't mess with her, if I didn't sleep with her, then I felt like so it goes both ways.
No,
because
it can.
I
You're
felt
right.
like I felt like, well, she's from the record label, and she's but she's cool, and I wasn't that attracted to her,
so
but
right,
but now
though.
she was a sweetheart, and I thought, well, you know what, man.
I've seen that happen,
it led
too.
to her
I
thinking.
have.
It led to her thinking that I was going to move in with her, and
Yeah.
and I kind of stayed with her for a minute, and that man, it was just like one day I woke up and like.
Listen, any person in a position of power in that sense has a responsibility, whether male or female, right, to, never utilize that to get advanced or further with somebody or anything. And women can be just as guilty of it. And I see it happen even in today's industry like crazy.
Wow.
Like some
Well,
kiddo
my
signed
artist
to a
told me-
label.
He told me, he said, you just fucked my record deal up. I said, man,
Well,
I
and
know I
see,
didn't either
that's
because I don't know what to do,
wrong.
but because I was in a position where I thought we were just all hanging out as friends, and somehow me and her wound up being alone, and then all of a sudden she kissed me, and all of a sudden it's like,
And you think, what am I going to do?
well, if I go,
And she's
if I
gonna-
go,
it's gonna
hey,
piss her
hang
off.
on, like
Wow.
that, but all of a sudden, it's like, oh, well, sure enough, after I can't do
They
this.
cut you
because
off, right? Yeah. And
All of a
that's-
sudden, my artist is not getting priority to label.
Oh my goodness.
And it was like, I was just like, man, are you
Wow.
serious? Because it was.
It can happen
Yeah.
on both sides. Of
And,
the
you know,
fence.
yeah.
Yeah, but so it's funny because people are attracted to people, and people just say stupid shit, and people do stupid shit. And I mean,
And that's okay. We will learn from those sorts of things. And I think
Yeah,
it's
but-
also important to have an environment where you allow for people to, what we call kind of course correct, to fix things, to work on things. Like I think we have to be human at the end of the day too, and mistakes can be made, and they should be allowed to be made to a certain degree as long as you can work on them and
Get past
learn
it,
from
right.
them and get past them. I think we've reached a point in time too with the whole cancel culture thing that like we're so quick to not forgive someone, to ruin their lives as a result.
Yeah, why does it have to be
of
so
it.
extreme?
So extreme of ruining their
Where's the
lives. to it.
forgiveness?
Losing their jobs over it or this or that. It's kind of like, well, wait a second. Can we not go so far?
Yeah, where's the repair?
We
right?
got to repair. We've got to treat
I'm
people
extremely
with some
lucky.
forgiveness.
I'm extremely lucky because I'm so in love with my woman, and I think people can see that. You know what I'm saying? And I
For
just.
sure, you do display
Whereas used
that.
to, I looked at every ass walking by, but now, with her, I don't know. I just one day,
Well, not all of them,
I
but-
just one day, I just kind of
A lot of
felt
them.
this.
Summer smiles.
Felt this. I'm good. I'm good. I'm happy. You know what I mean? And I'm
it's
I'm good.
amazing.
And it's like it took me a long time, but it's like because used to with the other girls I was with and stuff, I was always like looking and always like
Sometimes
looking for
it's
something a
about
little
that
better. You know what I
one.
mean? And,
Yeah.
and Tiffany's the only one I've been with that I'm like I'm good.
Well,
I'm
it's
happy.
your chemistry.
You know
It's
what I mean?
everything.
And
Everything aligned.
Because
yeah.
I couldn't imagine like doing something that would hurt her or whatever, and but I never have been. Man, I tell you what, I was taught better. I just never say anything out of line to women. It's like and there's men that do, man. There's men that do, and I had one that was out of line with one of the girls that work over there now, and I told her I was sorry because he was just big. He kept just pushing it and pushing it and pushing it, and she's such a sweet girl, but he kept pushing it, and finally she just had it. She's like, I can't handle it. I'm out of here. I was like, well, there you go. And because I'm not gonna say any name, but we just kept pushing it, and it's like, nothing wrong. Well, man, you're a really pretty lady. Well, there's nothing wrong with that, but it's like you can't say the other things that go behind it. You can't say like, it's better just not to say anything at all and just like, hey man.
Yeah, but you know what I say? You really shouldn't even say you're a really pretty lady.
You shouldn't.
And here's why.
But what's the purpose?
Would you do that to a dude that's sitting in the room with you and being like, dude, you're a really good looking dude? If it really was like this shocking thing of like, wow, you're really beautiful.
Yeah, I would.
You wouldn't, but no, most people wouldn't.
I'm
most
saying
people wouldn't sit there
if the guy was like lacking confidence or whatever, man, dude, you're a good looking fella, man. I mean, what's wrong with you, man? Why don't, because
you wouldn't just out of nowhere say,
no,
yo,
you're right.
You're a good looking dude. Do you know that? It would be so weird.
Yeah, that's weird.
Or why in a studio setting would anybody feel like they could just go up to a woman because it's a woman and be like, you're doing great. Touch an arm.
Yeah.
Right? Would you do that to Malcolm? No. Like, would a male...
No, she might slap me upside the ball.
But can you imagine one of your male engineers walking up to you and being like, you're doing... Like, rubbing it and going, you're doing great. So there are actually things culturally that if you see as the man happening, or if you hear and witness and someone say, oh, you're really pretty, that you should say, hey, you focus on work. This ain't about her being pretty.
Yeah, right.
You focus on work.
Well, luckily...
Call him out. You know?
She's pretty tough, man. I mean, she's no pushover, but the thing about it is,
but it affects people.
Yeah, and
it deep down affects them.
Well, what's great is she got a job. She's doing good. She's doing good for herself, and I've tried to like there for a while. I felt like it was something weird, between us because of him acting like that, and I was just like, man. So the other day, I make it. Her to know that I'm her friend. If she needs me, I'm here. Because I really like her. She's a sweet girl. She's a really smart girl. She's super smart. Mm. She ain't a smart girl. She's as smart as anybody. I mean, she's just a smarter person.
Incredible.
And she's good at what she does. But yeah, man. The whole thing is like, if men and it's just like the races too. It's like in the way I look, have you guys ever been like, profiled, but I have pretty much all the time.
Yeah, and that's a real thing too.
Mm-hmm.
Well, because Junior sees it all the time because me and him go places, and he's a big old black guy, but man, when it comes to me, they look at me and he's been to prison, he does drugs, he's a freaking troublemaker.
They'll just automatically think something,
they
or
think
that
something
you look like a skinhead or whatever. Yeah, I'm sure.
But there's always going to be prejudice. There's always going to be.
There is.
Some asshole say something that but I think it's great though. I mean it's because I'm gonna tell you something. We went for freaking 20 years with not one single female working for House of Blues.
Wow.
Now, not that was at the studios. Never. We never had girls.
And then Michelle must have been.
Michelle was here. She was the first one.
She must have been the first girl.
But she was right at the tail end of it. I mean.
Right. Yeah. She'd only been there like a couple years.
Now for Ocean Way. Now when it was over there, we had Jolie. She ran the show, and she ran it smooth too. She was awesome. So did Brett. Brett Blandon. You know Brett Blandon, don't you?
I don't think so. Not yet. Maybe I'll.
He works for Lady Alabama now.
Oh, okay.
Or Lady A, sorry. But it's funny we didn't see him the other night at the party, but no, it was weird because Pops, I think too though, Miss Shelley's not a jealous woman, so it wasn't that. I just think, I don't know.
Yeah.
It was. There wasn't that many girls coming out of engineering school.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There really wasn't.
Well, and that's the thing. And I definitely did when I first started kind of down this path, and I asked the question, like, why aren't there as many women? Mm-hmm. It did make me think, like, okay, well, maybe it's not because of something bad.
It's interest.
Maybe girls didn't have as much interest in this until we've gotten more savvy with tech and stuff. I can imagine, like, when I was a teenager, early teens and stuff, I wouldn't have cared 1 minute about turning knobs and running buttons. You know what I mean? My brother would have, so it's like, I definitely think there's even something scientifically to be said to, like, maybe men
like gadgets
into
better.
Gadgets more, or this or that. However, I think because now babies are being born into the world with understanding, like, these things. Now I think we're seeing more women.
Exactly. The computer age.
Love this stuff and that are just as naturally drawn to it. So I think maybe now we're going to see more of an influx of it just because of that.
Because everybody can have a console right in front of them on their laptop.
Yeah, right.
On their laptop,
right?
100%.
And they can do. It's so funny because Sheryl Crow's from where I'm from, and I always wondered why she didn't like keep producing, because she co-produced her own records, and sometimes I think she produced one of them completely. But it's funny because I figured she would end up doing that, but she didn't. You know, it's kind of weird that she produced her own stuff and didn't keep on going. But
Yeah.
but you know, the Tuesday Night Breakfast Club. I think there's another woman on that that was a big producer, pretty big. Do you know Miss Sylvia Massey?
I know who she is, yes, but I don't know her personally.
That is a woman. I'm gonna give her calls and get her on a podcast. One of these days, we get a little bit bigger audience and stuff, and you know, there's people like that I really want. She's fucking awesome, man. Yeah. She's just so great.
Just another
there was a video, because I'm going to YouTube and engineering tricks.
Yeah.
And I had a friend tell me, stop acting like stop being so close-minded. Get on the internet, look at the new tricks, because these kids come up with some pretty crazy tricks on Pro Tools and stuff. And so I watch those YouTube videos and stuff when I have time. And she had a biking technique she did. I went, what in the hell? I mean, it was so crazy. It was like a garden hose. And a kick drum, anyway. I know. That's how the joke starts. A garden hole, a kick drum.
Well, my dogs have definitely probably peed in the house.
Oh no.
So,
well, listen, we got to go anyway. But look, man, thank you guys.
No, it was amazing.
Yeah,
I'm so thankful to have been on with you guys. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much for coming. And you know what?
Are you kidding? This was my
I gotta get Kevin
honor.
over here one of these days, man.
Let's do it. Let's get him on the
We're
next one.
gonna try to promote this thing where it's big and people can hear it, and people.
I love it. I love it. We should
hopefully
do it
we'll get 10
weekly.
million streams and we'll be all.
Heck yes. Thank you for having me, Malcolm. Like it really.
Dear Will,
Thanks for
thank
coming
you.
over, Kelly.
Yes.